According to Pricewaterhouse, women in Nigeria account for 41% of the ownership of micro businesses in the country. Women entrepreneurs are boosting industries, fostering innovation, and creating jobs all across the world. However, they are frequently limited by the systematic challenges, including access to finance or capacity building opportunities. And they also encounter several legal, cultural, and societal difficulties in many low-income nations like ours. Women participate in the economy primarily through entrepreneurial businesses, most of which are micro, small, and medium. And MSMEs employ 84% of Nigeria's labor force and contribute 48.47% to the Nigerian's GDP. However, in Nigeria, 54% fewer MSMEs have female ownership than in sub-Saharan Africa as a whole. Only 16.8% of small enterprises and 12.2% of medium enterprises are owned by females in Nigeria, compared to 35% and 29% in sub-Saharan Africa. Now, that information is from MasterCard. Access to finance is often cited as one of the major factors impeding the growth of women-owned businesses in developing countries. The key barriers include lack of ownership of collateral, as tradition would seldomly cede property rights to women, coupled with the absence of credit histories, owing to the fact that most women businesses are informally organized. Now, this is one of the major challenges to access to finance. During her keynote address, Mariam would address this. The African Development Bank has a fund of $1 billion for African women. Now, they don't just throw this money at you, right? You have to get it from the financial institutions. Challenge now is that because most female businesses are not organized, they cannot access that facility. So that's why we are organizing this event, to help you organize your business in order to access that facility. So are you ready for us? Therefore, supporting women's entrepreneurship through trainings and granting financial support is a crucial step to take towards guaranteeing the contribution of women to national economic development. Having been involved in capacity building and business training for women entrepreneurs for over 4 years through its various projects, such as the African Women's Summit, Build to Last, SheTech, Back to School, and other projects, Engage, Empower, Educate initiative discovered that the major challenge faced by women entrepreneurs in Africa is the lack of access to finance, and decided to address this challenge through the Access to Finance Summit for women-led MSMEs in Nigeria. You know, a lady asked that one lady met me outside, I said, and asked, and after this summit, what next? Unlike other summits, because I'm a trained TFC via GIZ and GOPA, we would do what is called aftercare, right? So we will not leave you after this summit. Is that okay? After this summit, we would hold your hands and walk you through the process. Now, the idea is simple. We want everybody that comes into this hall by next year, this time, when we have the next summit, should come back with a testimony of, I've been able to access funds, I've been able to access this grant here. And is it possible? Yes. Are the funds there? Yes. The funds are there, but you're not accessing it, right? So that's our plan for you. All right. So at the end of this summit, you will be exposed to strategies to mobilize funding and finance to scale your MSMEs. You will be trained on the appropriate structure to enact in your business to gain finance. And this summit will also boost your economic activity and enable the expansion of your business, leading to increased growth and productivity. And like I've said, we will also have aftercare services for you. So ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all to the Access to Finance Summit for Women-led MSMEs 2022. So the idea for today's summit is to go from the problem to the solution. So you're going to be getting more of the solutions towards the end, right? Because we're going to be starting from the problem to the solutions. And we would like to have shared experiences now. And I don't know, has anyone tried to access loan from the bank? You've tried. So you just introduce yourself to us, and in 2 minutes, let's know your experience, right, trying to access finance and the challenges you faced. Thank you.
My name is Ivani. Getting a financial support from the bank is actually not an easy thing to do. A lot of questions was asked, a lot of things that I don't even know about. The first thing they asked me is if my business has been registered, the certificate, the TIN number, and I'm also to pay 20,000 naira for the research. For the research, I had to go back home and think, how do I go about this? For me to be able to get the certificate in CAC takes a lot of time. I did it myself. I didn't give it to anybody. So I went there. The name I had to drop 3 names so as for them to pick one if nobody has used the name before, which I did. At the end of the day, they picked a particular name. I gave them the information of what I want to do. They canceled it at first. The CAC Wala is there. The TIN too is there. Then now I'm facing the bank. At the end of the day, I was able to get the certificate. I went back to the bank. What do we do? I've gotten my certificate, everything. And they said, okay, what they will do is I have to pay money into that account for a search. That's the 20,000 naira. Then after that, I did that and I asked them, okay, after paying the 20,000, when will I get the money to start up my business? They said, let me pay the 20,000 naira first, which I did. And it took like 6 months because they said I have to manage my account. They have to see the income, what is coming in, what is going out, to be able to know if I'm qualified for the loan. 6 months' time, I went back. They were supposed to call me, they didn't call me. I went back to meet them, and they told me, I'm not qualified yet. That they'll tell me if I'm qualified or not. They will be the one to call me. It wasn't an easy thing to do. It wasn't at all.
All right, thank you very much. I'm sure that's like some other people's experiences. And guess what? We have banks here. Yes, they are here. They will talk to you later, right? And explain to you what actually was the challenge and what you need to get through.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adeola Kofrola King of Ikeji-Lagos Empire. So basically, I'm a fashion designer. I do a lot of local, I infuse Afrocentric. I kind of use our local materials to do clothing that you can wear casually, and anyhow, we do fashion basically with local material. So my fashion journey, it was born out of passion rather. I just loved to look different and all of that. So that was how I started. So after a while, I was doing it from my house. Then COVID came. When COVID came, we noticed the situation was kind of, it wasn't funny because everybody was at home. There was no one there. There was nobody going out. So basically what we all needed was to eat. So that affected my fashion business a bit. So I looked inwardly and I was like, okay, what can I do again to provide solution? Because the only way you can be in business is to create a solution to a problem. So we noticed the food was a problem we had then. And when I looked into the food, well, like, what could I do? I saw a lot of people were repackaging food because COVID really helped bring out the entrepreneurial spirit in most of us youths then. So a lot of people went into packaging, what do you have, different kind of things. So I like to do something quite different. So I thought to myself, okay, when we get all this food, we need other sources of energy to prepare the food. And then gas was skyrocketing. It was very expensive for us to get gas. Kerosene was nowhere to go. Then we also had to be environmental friendly because we cannot be using charcoal, felling woods, and all of that. So I thought of there's something called briquettes. I don't know if you've heard about that. So we use agriculture waste to source fire. So like your coconut shell, your rice husk, your sawdust, there's a way we prepare it together to get a briquette. Then you can use it in place of your charcoal. So I got a very brilliant idea, and I thought, wow, this would be a very good one. I learned it from someone during that COVID period, and it was awesome. So we needed money to finance it and ensure that we put it in every homes so that we can have affordable source of energy. But my darling, I'll tell you, it was not easy. Because for you to be bringing out something new that people didn't understand what it was all about, it was very hard for us to access funds, and not everybody was kind of seeing into the future. They were not seeing into what I was trying to build, so they didn't even want to hear about it. When you go to banks, they'll be like, no, you have to go to Bank of Industry, you have to go to development banks. Like, all the banks were always shielding us away. They didn't even want to hear what we had to say. So then I thought, okay, let's look for grants to push this. So when it came to grants, they gave me conditions. You need all these, you need documentations, you need to be registered. I had to upgrade from my business name to limited. And it will cost money. All these things, for you to get money, you must spend money. And there was nowhere for me to get all those money to make more money. So eventually, when I needed to do my documentation and all of that, I wasn't getting money from the bank. But all these bank loan apps it came handy. So I rushed into a particular one. I don't want to mention a brand. So I rushed into it. I was like, this is fast money, and I needed to really do something. I just juggled into it. All their terms and conditions, you have a lot of things to read. So most of the time, we just click on it just for us to get money. And I got stuck. When I got the money was like 50,000. And when it was time for me to pay, I would pay. The money wasn't finishing. The next thing, I would see my app would tell me I'm still owing. And there was no office for us to visit to tell them. And their customer care, they will be the only one that can access me. I can't call them to complain what was happening. So I kept paying and paying and paying. To some extent, I even stopped answering their calls. When I checked, they would say, hey, I'm owing 4,000. I will leave it there. After a while, it will increase to 11,000. They will increase. I just left it there that I don't even care. If when you are ready, you will call me. We'll have a negotiation about how this will go. So I tell you, it's not easy for entrepreneurs to get access to funds.
Fine. Okay, thank you very much. Please a round of applause for her. A round of applause for both of them as they take their seats. Thank you very much. We have Mr. Michael here from Sitiamo. He's they give micro loans, right? So he'll be talking on, they have better rates, right? What are your interest rates? 5% flat monthly. Yeah, and you've given to how many women in Lagos? What's your reach so far in Lagos disbursement? How many women have gotten your facility? 5,600 women, right? So he's a panelist. He's not here to sell his market. I'm just telling you that. He's a panelist, and he's going to talk about what he has seen in working with women, in addressing these challenges, right? I believe if you want to get money, I believe you have to be serious about your business. So women, we have to be serious about our businesses. Thank you very much for that introduction. So at this point, I'll be calling up my very first presentation. And it's a government agency. Yes. Some people, while preparing for this event, some women will be asking me, where is the money? We want to come and collect our money. They just feel government has money for them. So maybe, sir, when you come up, he will tell them whether government has money for them. But ladies and gentlemen, for the next 10 minutes, please help me welcome Mr. Isaac Fani from the Bank of Agriculture. He's going to be telling you about the special packages they have for women and their businesses. Thank you. Please, if you're not tired, please clap till he gets up. Clap till he gets up.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm standing here for my Managing Director, Chief Executive Officer, Bank of Agriculture, Alhaji Azam. He's not here, but just have to delegate us to be here. Through that, we've been able to gather experiences, and all those things mentioned by those people, we want to showcase to you this afternoon flexible products that we have for women, specially packed for women. I will not go back to all those things that have been mentioned. If the slide can be shown on the screen, it will be better. But if not, on your WhatsApp group, it will be shared with you. I have just 10 minutes. Why women? That is the first question. Why women? Our coordinator just mentioned to us here that because women are faithful multiplier. Is that correct? My wife proved that one to me. If you give them good thing, they will multiply it for you. Abby, I gave my wife the first good thing. She multiplied it, gave me twins. I gave her the second one. She gave me triplets. I was like C. Ronaldo. So I played from the center again. She gave me twins. So they are faithful multipliers. But more than that, when it comes to issue of credit, and which was even affirmed in 2014 in Kenya, women are very faithful and committed to repayment of loans. I represented Nigeria in Kenya in 2014, and it was really affirmed there that if you give women loans, they will pay back, and we have an average benchmark of about 97% recovery rate, even in Bank of Agriculture. Over 50 years of experience, women have not been disappointing us at all. So coming here today, I'm very comfortable, and any package that you bring to us, be very sure, as the head of assets for this bank, we are going to look to it, and it will sail through. Not only that, when you give credit to women, it leads to development, also development. If you want to solve problems in a clean and neat way, just empower women. They will take care of every other thing. Some people always talk about a common purse at home. It's always bring problem. You don't need to do that. You just empower them. They will take care of food. They will take care of everything. You cannot pay, as a man, you cannot pay all the debts you owe women. They will be, you owe me, oh. You still owe me, oh. You say, yes, I know. Yes, I know. That debt will not stop us from entering heaven, because I know we are jointly clicked together. So, but our well windows since 1972 to today, we have a SHS, small order scheme, micro loans for women, both in agric and non-agric. If you, and just like that, our auntie that just came here, talking of 50,000, you talk of 250,000 for a single obligor, we have it for you under our micro loan products, be it agric, be it non-agric. But we also have agribusiness loans to finance agricultural agro-processing. That one can get up to 2 billion naira. But we are strengthening our risk appetite, and we have our loan scoring data in such a way that over 100, we want to see what you score in that loan scoring data. The higher your percentage, the better for you. Also, we have what we call DTI, your debt to income ratio. The lower that ratio, the better for you. That one will not give you stress, because our DEX officer will do many of those things for you because we are approaching it from that angle. We have marketing loans and we have agribusiness loans. Other product that we have here, as this NGO is coming on board, we have this on lending. This NGO can approach us for a bulk money. We give this NGO, and they will give us list, and just for us to disburse to them. It's like a people development fund. The only clause to that one is that if you give us that list, and we disburse to those people, or we give you that money, the onus of recovery is on you. You bring back the money to us. That is on lending. So I'm appealing to this organizer. They can approach us on a corporate level, and we do that. So that is for our, we have collaboration too. We have funded collaboration. The NGO can bring money and say we are doing it 100%. You just be the fund manager. And we have the one that is zero. Please do it for us. We are not bringing any money. And we have the one that is jointly funded. It can be 50-50. So you can collaborate with us. And all these women here, I don't know how much, but I want to tell you, it's nothing when it comes to BOA. As I'm talking to you, we have a community funding, village funding system. If you have products and you have a special market somewhere, and you are in a contiguous environment, you are together, please approach us for community or village funding. As at this week, I think about 101,850,000 was approved for some people. Just do it. And they are always, since 2019, they have been getting the money. We have youth agricultural revolution in Nigeria, YAN. We call it YAN, both for women and for men, but for youth, 18 to 35. But we also have what we call WAHE, Women in Agriculture and Enterprise. These two products, an obligor can get up to 1 million naira without collateral. 1 million naira without collateral. Then we say, oh, that's fine. At the same time, we will still tight our risk appetite. We ensure that you have reputable guarantor so that we can have something to fall back on. You may talk about, don't you even do your rating in a BOA? I've told you, we do it. We do it, but we know the way we do it. When we see our target market and we see people that are vulnerable, we don't give you too much condition, but rather we finance you based on your project. Because when you come to us, we are interested in your project, not particularly in you. And we don't want your project to die. For that reason, we will rate your project and finance you based on that one. We have another one, we call it Quick Impact Loan, QIL, Quick Impact Loan. In that Quick Impact Loan, if you apply this month, you will get the loan this month. My state coordinator manager is here, Mrs. Bello. If you get there, if you apply this month, you will get it this month. But you can only get up to 250,000 naira maximum. Other conditions remain unto you. We have payday loans. This payday loan, you see, we have some of the women, they are selling Coca-Cola, doing all these things. What they do is that they go and take those things on credit. And by the time they take it on credit, something that's supposed to be given to them as 30,000. I'm just giving an example. We'll be given to them at 35. After sale, they will now go and return 35. You just come to us. By the time you come to us, we will finance you for that payday loan. It's sharp, quick. We have another product specially designed for women. We call it BOABI, Bank of Agriculture Rural Business Initiative Loans, BOABI, but it's group. Women only. Form yourself into group. I am not saying to form a group now. It can even be an informal group because of what that lady just mentioned. The procedures of having these certificates, having that one, have been stopping some people from getting loan. So if you come to us as an informal group, but closely knitted together, that we can trace you, we can access this loan, we call it BOABI. And that one is about 2.5 million naira per group. Every other thing is about our conditions, about what we do is in that manual, of which time will not permit us to go through everything. But you would like to know about our interest rate. Interest rate. Because to every business, the cost of capital is very important. Am I correct? The cost of capital is very important. But in BOA, we have interest rate for collaboration. That one will be jointly agreed between the collaborators. It can be 8%, it can be 9%, it can be 10%, depending on whether it is fully funded or zero-funded or jointly funded per annum on a reducing balance. We have that of 12% interest rate too, and that one is for any agro-allied businesses. If you come in and you are into agri, we know the marginal revenue on agri is very low. The risk is very high. So we are not expecting too much from you. It's 12% per annum on reducing balance basis. Not only that, we have for micro non-agri, that is trading, artisan, that one is 20% per annum on reducing balance basis. Our SME loan, which a single obligor can get up to 5 million naira, and a corporate body can get up to 30 million naira, that one is 14% per annum on reducing balance basis. Our marketing loans is also 20% per annum on reducing balance basis. Requirements for borrowing from BOA is the same all over the nation. Please, we will only expect you to have viable business that is economically viable, technically viable, and financially viable. What we do in BOA is cash flow financing. You may be very rich, but we want a business that will be able to generate enough income, pay the capital, and pay the interest back again. We know the way we measure it. We look at your DTI, as I've mentioned the other time, your debt to income ratio. We will look at your positive net cash flow. We will look at your net present value. We are doing that. It is not you doing that. We are not expecting you to go and get a consultant to do that one, because all expenses by an obligor or an applicant still go into the loan. So we look for a way to reduce your stress. We will look at your payback period, and we are going to look at your IRR, internal rate of return, the marginal efficiency of the capital you are employing. That if we give you 100 naira, how much will 100 naira bring? Will it bring 100 naira back and 30 naira? All those things we will look, and we are going to look at your CBA, cost-benefit analysis, and we are going to look also at your liquidity ratio, and more importantly, we always check at something we call acid test ratio. Because we have some people, their liquidity ratio is very high, but the acid test ratio is what? It's very low. Why? They have stock. Because of COVID-19, I have not sold this one. So we will just subtract stock from what we call your liquid asset and see whether you'll be able to meet up with all expenses that comes in. You look at your return on investment, and we are going to look at your GRA ratio. If you are coming into a business, we don't finance that business 100%. No. If you are not partner in business with us, you will not take care of that business very well. So we want to see your GRA ratio. GRA ratio simply says when you compare the debt to what you are bringing here. If you have something like, just like that person that was interviewed, was talking about having 43% of this one here and there. They are somewhere they are going. You want to look at your GRA ratio. If you are going at 100 kilometers per hour and you are using GR1, what will happen to that engine? What will happen? That vehicle will crash. So the debt must not be too much. These are the things that we are going to look at. And by the time we look at that one, we want to assure you that if you come into BOA, you will smile back. At BOA, our door is open to all women entrepreneurs 24/7. Thank you for listening. Very grateful.
Was it a pleasant presentation? Did you learn something you did not know before? Oh, we're just starting. Okay, I know you have questions. We will take 3. Who has questions for him? Usher, I want to choose 3 people. 1, no, I can't take a man, sorry. 2, the middle lady there, and 3, we are done for this session. So question number 1.
My name is Yetunde Adeniji. Thank you, Mr. Isaac, for that brief or impactful presentation. The first question I was going to ask you, you've tackled it, the interest rate. Looking at, I'm not a maths expert, but that 20%, I look at the situation where we can have this single-digit interest rate. Because it's this interest rate that is really killing people. I remember somebody, Abroadians, the way especially Nigerians, when they've lived abroad, he came in from this kind of conference and he was saying Nigerians are lazy. And I felt hot because I've been in this system for quite a while. That we're not lazy. You cannot compete with people that get loans at single digits. There was a time I had to do something on Ogbomoso. I saw Chinese. They were into cashew and so on. And I said that people cannot compete favorably because, number one, access to finance is difficult, number one, even as a human being, as a Nigerian. Number two, even when you access interest rates, and most people, when they are desperate, they will take it at that rate, and at the end of the day, the loan goes back. And then it becomes difficult as a woman. Most people would rather deal with men. They would rather assist men. And then when you're a woman, they believe they're going to be frivolous, they're going to spend the money. And it's not been that way. I don't know what you can do about it. That is one. That interest, I know it's a policy issue. You might not be able to change it from you, and you cannot change it. But if we keep talking, the interest rate, it is high. Even for a Greek, I invest 100,000, and then I borrow 100,000, I'm going to pay 120,000 back. If I analyze it, the person is not going to make any money. That's one. Then number two is, how long do I have to have a relationship with that, the lending agency before I can access funds? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My name is Modupe Oyewole. I really appreciate this program, and this is the very first time I will be attending something like this for women. I have 2 questions. My question number 1 is, what is the maturity of the business before a business can apply for this loan? Is it 2 months, 3 months? That is one. Then number 2 is, I've visited BOA office before, and the process that I was given was so much that it looks as if it's not going to be possible for me to be able to assess the loan. So I want to understand, is there a change in the way women can assess this loan? Now, what are the processes? Because I'm so interested in this. Thank you.
And Mom Migani. I presently have a 50-hectare palm tree farm in Ogun State. And it seems 2 of them have even asked some of the questions I was going to ask. Now, if you have something as big as that, what are you expected to bring in to access such loans? Because my father started this some years back and is grown. But I want something much more. We want to go into production, but we are short of funds. So that's the issue we are having now. So I think my sisters have asked some of the questions I would have loved to ask. Thank you.
The first one is on the interest rate. Don't forget I said 20% per annum on reducing balance basis. 20% per annum per month, you know how much that is? Very small. And on reducing balance. Please, if you look at the rate of inflation outside there, the cost of maintaining even offices, if not that we are government representative, is very difficult to break even with that interest rate. But if 20% is on the high side, don't forget we have the one with 12% reducing balance. 12% reducing balance per annum is about 9.67%. But apart from that, I mentioned that of collaboration, in which if we have partners to collaborate with us, it can be single digits. So we have flexible arrangement for that one. please just look at those products and see the one you can key into. The another question is about our turnaround. Am I right? That if you start now, what about account maintenance and so on? I want to tell you, what we have done right now is, as we are here, we are with our KYC. Know your customer. This thing will be distributed to you. You can start the processes right now. The form will be given to you. You just fill it. We can't give money to someone we do not know. We must know our customer, KYC. We must know our customer business, KYB. We must know our customer's transaction, KYT. Because we must not finance any business that is unlawful. Is it clear? All this one, it depends on you. When they give you something to go and do, and it takes donkey year before you return it, look, there's no way we can process it further. But our turnaround something, I mentioned one product there, that within a month, you can start, and within that month or the month that follow, your account will be credited. Our manager is here. We call it sharp, quick impact loan and payday loan. So our turnaround something is very, very low now. I've answered a question about the processes. I've answered a question about the turnaround, and I've answered a question about that of the interest rate. Yes, ma'am. You asked question about the 50 hectares of oil palm that is existing, already yielding. Am I right? You can apply for maintenance of the farm. When you come and we look at the amount, by the time we give you a relationship officer, they will go for IVR, identification officer report. They will write a report to us. Then we will see what can be done. Because we cannot just take decision based on what you have said now. How old is that oil palm plantation? Is it still yielding? Good, don't worry. We are experts in that one. When we see farm, we will know. Some have become so bushy, and they are no longer, it's as good as not existing. But if it's at a state that we can bring something out of it that will benefit you, we'll be ready to finance it. The second aspect of that question has to do with, if the farm is okay, and you have money for maintenance, all what you want to do is that you want to install processing machine there to be extracting oil for you. Yes, we have products. We ask people, produce, add value, and export, pay. Under that one, if you key in, we will just put you under processing loan. You will need collateral security. Is it clear? Yes. It's not that we are interested in your landed property. No. Your character is the first thing. But every standard hospital must have mortuary. Is it clear? The mortuary for loan is that real estate. It can be real estate. It can be stock and share that will be discounted by 40% to get the intrinsic value. Have I answered your question? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please, a wonderful round of applause.
My name is Edward Esene. I work with Plus Innovation Hub. I need to say it's a beautiful event. The turnout was massive. The questions were very engaging. The truth is, these women business owners, they need money. And this kind of program, this kind of summit is just the timely and appropriate event for them to come and listen, for them to ask. And almost everybody that spoke particularly to funding, different sources of funding, where they can do, all the constraints and bottleneck in accessing funding. And I think the takeaway from here is the support that they will get, is the community that they will join, and it is the further engagement, advising them, pointing them to the right funding options. And I see these business owners getting money, some of them maybe as early as this year, some of them even next year, and their businesses will go on to do very amazing stuff now and in the future. Thank you so much. If you're even confused that you are not getting the funding, the good thing is that you even applied. So you are one step ahead of those that are not applying. Okay, so the next thing is to ask for feedback. You applied for funding, for grants, you didn't get it. Why did I not get it? If the organization is not helping you with their feedback, join a group, join a mastermind group, join an advisory team, join a community that can bring a consultant that can tell you to say, oh, this is how you did it. Next time, this is how to do it better. With those kind of feedback and hand-holding, your chances and your success rates will be multiplied, and in the future, you will sure get money.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Isaac. So right about now, we're going straight into our very first panel session that will be looking at challenges of accessing finance for women like MSMEs. I'll be introducing the moderator of that session. So as I call her, please clap for her. She comes to the platform and takes her seat, and she will introduce her panelists. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me make welcome Ogbonna Queen Chimbere. Please put a round of applause for her. Queen is a dynamic professional human resource manager, labor advisor, organizational behaviorist, MSME and marketing consultant that is purpose-driven, resilient, and always open to evolving techniques. A self-motivated person and an inspiring team player. I will leave the floor for her as she handles her first panel session. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Queen. I can say you all are looking ravishingly beautiful. So welcome again to the African Summit for Women. And this panel session is about the challenges that women face when they want to access finance. All right. So I'll be introducing the panelists with a short brief about them. And as I do that, they will come up stage. And because it's a women-led program, I'll be introducing a woman first. All right, so my first panelist is Tosin Abajo. She's a business coach, facilitator, passionate teacher, and her ecosystem is entrepreneurship. And she's a mentor and business counselor with several years of experience. I can actually attest that she's an amazing teacher. She works with SMEDAN as a trainer and the International Organization on Migration for Return Migrants, and she's certified TFC on ICSS for GIZ, and she's known with vast experience in management and human resource issues. Please, with a round of applause, can we make welcome the proficient and beautiful Tosin? That round of applause is lacking vitamin C. All right, thank you very much. Okay, so my second panelist would be Mr. Michael Ogba. So Mr. Michael Ogba is the CEO of Sitiamo Technology Limited. He's the co-founder, chief executive officer, and the managing director of Sitiamo, a micro-lending institution. He's a composite banker, economic strategist, and former head agency banking in Africa's biggest retail bank and the most respected African bank, Access Bank Group, with 22 years of banking experience. He has several experiences in retail, channel management, marketing, sales, strategic, and risk management. He's an executive with a middle management training focused in strategic leadership and the University of Pennsylvania. The Wharton School is an abroad school. All right, so it's an international school. Pardon me, so Mr. Michael, you're welcome. All right, so my third panelist is Ms. Tega Badagry, the founder of the Mobile Spa. Ms. Tega is a well-being entrepreneur and the founder of the Nigeria's first and most established on-demand spa, the Mobile Spa. The Mobile Spa is a rejuvenating spa for massages, facials, pedicures, steaming, bathing, accessible to people in their homes, offices, and events. She's certified by International Therapy Examination Council, ITC UK, trained holds certificates in various therapists, and she has a bachelor's degree in French language. Please help me make the beautiful and elegant Ms. Tega. All right, so the last but not the least is our lead panelist, Mr. Pike Bruns. Pike Bruns is the team leader for GOPA, entrusted to implement the ICSS module, which stands for Inspire, Create, Start, and Scale. And it's an entrepreneurship development program that is resident in Lagos and Edo State. He's a SAP certified practitioner with more than 25 years in the MSME ecosystem, and he has passion for youth, women, community development, and he loves to see people grow. Please, with a round of applause, help me make welcome the pragmatic Pike. All right, thank you very much. So, Mr. Pike, you're welcome once again. So, we'd like to know, what is financial literacy, and how is it important for women to use that to access finance?
Yes, thank you so much. And I think cannot be a better time than now to speak about financial literacy and access to finance for women in MSME in Nigeria specifically. Why do I say now is the best time? It is because Nigeria is the country in Africa which lags behind the most when it comes to creating access to finance for women. It is not the country which lags behind in creating access to finance. In fact, countries like Nigeria, like Kenya, South Africa, Rwanda, they are very much at the same level of Nigeria when it comes to creating access to finance. However, Nigeria lags far behind when it comes to creating access to finance for women. And that is a disaster. Why do I say that that is a disaster? It is a disaster because more than 50% of all MSME are women-owned. It is a disaster because every woman teaches the nation. It is a disaster because we continue listening to feeble presentations of people pretending to provide financial services, and yet when one looks on the ground, it is all hollow. It is a disaster because women are potentially not only our mothers who hold the future and our sisters who take us into prosperity, but it is a disaster because we are not changing the situation as it is. When we talk about financial literacy, there are three terms which come to mind: financial literacy, financial inclusion, and indeed access to finance. Financial literacy has been determined as one of the three key elements why the glass ceiling for women towards access of finance is so low. Why glass ceiling? Because we can't really see the ceiling. People are talking nice about all these wonderful opportunities around, but the truth is they are not accessible for the majority of the population who are the women. It's a glass ceiling. And unfortunately, our literacy levels, our education levels amongst women in Nigeria is still far lower than that of men. And before we can even talk of financial inclusion, before we can even talk of, for that matter, access to finance, we have to talk of education. We have to talk of financial literacy. Women need to be granted the opportunity to understand what it means to work with finances, because that is, in essence, the definition of financial literacy. Financial literacy is nothing more than the ability to use your financial skills. So I want to go back to this assessment of the Central Bank of Nigeria just for a second, where they assessed financial inclusion. And besides education, what struck me the most is that the lack of trust in financial service providers holds women back to access finance. And all financial service providers here today should ask yourself, why is this lack of trust so prominent? Mr. Belema, thank you so much for this event today. You started off today by hinting to the fact that cash loan sharks are killing us. But we should ask ourselves the reverse question. Why do they even have to exist? They exist because the financial service providers do not do their job properly. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a need for credit sharks. Would not be necessary. If the financial service providers would be outright, upright, and properly accessible to women to provide financial support, it would not be necessary for us to cut corners and go elsewhere. So what financial literacy is all about, it is the foundation. It's the starting point for women to being taken serious as players in the economy. I'm coming out of the capacity building sector, and for us, the mantra is that an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. And I thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much, Pike. Fantastic. So I hope we're taking notes because this is a lot. All right, so Ms. Teg, I'll go over to you. Please kindly share your personal experiences in trying to access loan as a woman.
I sincerely or completely agree with Pike about knowledge. And the first thing you think about when you're trying to start your business is, oh, I'm excited or I'm interested in doing this. And then we start. And then maybe months down the line or years down the line, you then start to access or review your processes and say, what am I doing? Am I making profits? Is this business really worth it? Is it going to see the light of day, or is it going to exist beyond this time? Many of us don't start by accessing financial literacy or knowledge on how to manage our businesses. We start with passion, and then maybe when we get midway or some months down the line, we start to ask ourselves the question about, are we making money or not? And so financial literacy is something that I struggled with. I had to learn as I went on in my business, and that is where a lot of women are. So many people, so many businesses or businesswomen still operate their businesses from their private accounts, their personal bank accounts, which is, I think, the very first step backward in trying to access funds, because nobody wants to pay money or give funds to a personal account. So knowledge is key, and I think that's one of the biggest challenges. And education. Mindset, I think, is also a challenge that a lot of women face. So many women, I still talk to some of my friends who have done business for some time, and they say things like, when you say, we're positioning for an investor, and they're like, investors, no, I don't want anybody to come and take part of my business. So sometimes it's even the mindset. They don't even understand how far they can grow or how far their businesses can go with having other people come into the business. So knowledge, financial literacy is a big issue, is a big challenge for women. I think we've talked a lot about how there's poor access to finance for women, which is, I think, external, but more internally, because I like to see things from a proactive angle. As a businesswoman, how are you positioning yourself? What are you doing to be able to access these funds? If you're presented with an opportunity to access funds, are you ready? Do you have all of the things? Is your business structured in a proper way for you to access this fund? So as women, I always say, please, let's go back to the drawing board and ask ourselves, is my business viable? Is it good enough? When I find this fund, do I have all the things that are required? So those are the things I think are the challenges or major challenges for women.
Fantastic. So one key word that she said is look inward and be sure that you're not the problem. All right, so Mr. Michael, recall in my introduction that we said he has a micro-lending platform. So with your experience around the platform, or as the CEO, please, what are the top 3 challenges that women have faced in trying to access finance?
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Oba. In my company, 99% of the people I work with are women. 96% of our board members are women. 96% of our customers are women. So we are set up for women. And why did we do that? We realized that women are discriminated against. I have a mother, she's passed on to glory. I have a sister. And I put myself in their shoes. My mom sold Mama Put, what we call Mama Put. And we struggled. So now that I have the opportunity, I say to myself, how do we begin to right the wrong? I've spent 22 years in banking. I spent 15 years in Guarantee Trust Bank, 5.5 years in Access Bank. And I see that combined, these two organizations, for a woman to get loan is difficult. And there are so many factors. You don't blame them. Number one, how many women have collateral? The house will belong to the man. Even when they jointly build it, it is the man. When you see other challenges, you find out that the women are discriminated against. So that was why we said to ourselves, we must empower women. And we started. Today, what do? We give micro loans to women. I saw the Bank of Agriculture man saying that interest rate is high. And Mr. Pike has also emphasized it. It is high. We don't have money that we can give cheaply. If we do, God knows my heart, I will give loans at less than nothing. But you see, Nigeria will humble you. I run a portfolio of about $1 billion, and I make returns to the investors of 30% per annum on a monthly basis, meaning that if you give me 1 million, I give you 25,000 every month on your 1 million. So for me to begin to make sense, make it a business sense, that money, I have to first make the profit to give back the person that gave me the money before we can even take care of the office and other logistics. That's why it's high. But think about it practically. We say we do micro-lending, and I want to explain to you what micro-lending means. We give loans of 20,000 to 100,000. So if we give you 20,000, we collect 1,000. That's the interest rate. That's the 5% flat on a monthly basis. It's high, I know. But look at the other option. So Mama Sikira comes to the market because we are constrained to market. That's why we don't give loans to everybody. Our niche is well defined. We give to market women. You must be a woman and you must be in a market. So Mama Sikira comes to the market. She sells puff-puff. Nobody is willing to give her money to start that puff-puff selling on a daily basis. She comes to Sitiamo and asks us, can you help me? We say, yes, we can help you. How much do you need? 20,000. Would you be able to pay us our 1,000 so that we can give you the 20,000? You pay it back in 1 month. She says, yes. We'll go to the market. She doesn't need to leave. All those logistics problems, she doesn't face them. We are the ones to go to her. We give her that 20,000. We collect our 1,000. Every week, our agent field officer comes to her, collects 5,000. Week 2, another 5,000. 4 weeks, she has finished paying. To be realistic, how much profit do you think Mama Sikira will make out of that 20,000? Is that 1,000 punitive? I don't think so. The alternative is for her to stay at home, and her family and herself will go hungry. Government is not helping. Mr. Pike has said so. Nobody is helping. That is the gap we are meeting. Just for statistics basis, last year we gave out 1.4 billion. 75% of them paid back. We have 25% that didn't pay back. As a business, that will kill us. But we are fine-tuning and getting it better. This year alone, we've done about 1.6. Between last year and this year, we've generated $250 million as interest expense to the people that provided us the funding. Meaning that with all the problems we are going through, we are providing value for the investors, and we are paying salaries of our staff. We have about 102 staff scattered in 28 states in Nigeria. I pride myself by saying that Sitemo is Nigeria's #1 non-banking micro-lending institution, and that is who we are. Before I leave, if you are a woman, you want to try, you want to help your family, and finance is your only challenge, we can help to the extent that you will pay us back. The investors, whenever you don't pay us, we have to pay them. The moment we fail to pay just one person, the organization is dead. So whether you pay us back, you don't pay us back, we have to pay them. And if we are sincere, and I have 75% of the women we have given money, they are sincere. Somebody asked me, why not men? Apart from all those factors we've discussed, the other factor is this. Women are better borrowers than men. We have facts to support it. Remember when I said 96% of our borrowers are women? The other 4% men, evil people, they will go and marry extra wife, they will go and do kalo. They will go and find side chick. Their families have not eaten. They are looking around where to drink beer and shout. They are a problem unto themselves. I'm a man. So that's why we have concentrated on women. And we are here for a while. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right. So women are better borrowers than men. Fantastic. So, Ms. Tosin, we're aware that you work for SMEDAN, which is a government interventionist agency. So from your work and the work environment, what would you say are the top challenges how women face or access finance?
Okay, thank you, Queen. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Okay, to start with, I'm going to start with a collaboration that SMEDAN had with NBS, National Bureau of Statistics. So we went around and had to count the number of MSMEs we had in Nigeria, because we didn't just want to work without facts. So as of 2020, we had 41.6 million MSMEs in Nigeria. Coming down to 2021, post-COVID, we had a drop in the number of MSMEs, which was 39 million MSMEs in Nigeria. Breaking it down across all this thing, we have the micro, the small, and the medium. We didn't want to look at this micro alone, because if you look at it, it's a blanket covering them. We had to further divide it. And when we divided, we had the nano. What do I mean by nano? Those businesses that are at home. Yeah. They are run from home. They don't have any staff. They just do it to feed themselves and their family. Looking at this statistically, we find out that majority of the nano are women. These women run their business from home. They don't have, most of them don't have support. They just use it to support their husbands and use it to feed their family. Now, what are the challenges these women have that they face? The first one is collateral challenge, like my fellow panelists said here. Women already have a lot of collateral like that. When they go to the bank, there's already that look for them that, what is this person bringing? So it's a major challenge for the women. They don't have anything to put down to support the loan they are going to get. So it's a problem for them. The second one is owner's bias. I don't know how many women here are into business and you have been to the bank for loan.
and there's this bias, they look at you like, she's a woman, she can't do what a man can do. How many of us have faced that? So it's something that is a big issue. The owner's bias, the banks might even go as far as asking, are you married? Do you have this? Do you have that? Just to make them know that, yes, this person can pay us back if she gets the loan. So it's a major challenge for women in business. Then, like Pike said, financial literacy, it is very, very huge. It's a big problem for women doing business in Nigeria. What do I mean by financial literacy? We've all said that women are good borrowers. But do you know that as women are good borrowers and as they are multitaskers, they put a lot of burden on themselves. A woman borrows money from the bank. She knows at the back of her mind that I need to pay back this loan. She will pay back the loan, but you need to ask her, how much of that money are you pumping back into the business? That is what kills most of these women-owned businesses in Nigeria. Because a woman will first of all look at her children. She will look at the home front first before putting that money back, which affects the sustainability of that business. Because if you are running a business as a woman, the first thing to come to your mind should be, I should move from the informal to the formal sector. But you find out that most women try to let me stay at home, run my business from home, and they don't move from there. Like my fellow panelist here said, he said his mom was Mama Put. If you find out from him now, his mother never registered that business, and she never moved beyond that Mama Put business. But she used it to feed the family, she used it to send all her children to school. Imagine if it was a male-owned business, it would have grown further than that. So these are the challenges we see in women-owned business in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to take 3 questions while we talk about there are no problems without solutions, while we address the solutions to accessing finance. So if you have your questions, please get them ready. We'll take 3 questions, and I'll come back to Mr. Pike. So how can a woman acquire financial literacy?
As I said earlier, it's really about education. That's the bottom line. You know, there are two spheres. We talk of literacy, that's the ability to read, right? And then we talk of numeracy. That's the mathematical ability. Now, if you combine the two, then you start having a chance to grow in your financial literacy. But financial literacy is not as easy. And I loved what you said just now. Financial literacy also has to do with trying. You have to try it. In our experience, and very briefly, in our experience, when we are training women predominantly, but not exclusively, when we are training women in business skills, a lot of women, when we ask them whether they have a bank account, they would say, oh no, I'm using my husband's bank account. Right? That happens. 2022. Women are appendixes of men. You are not trying. There is no law which prevents a woman, even a married woman. There is no law which prevents you from trying it out. Especially in the rural areas, and we are talking here already to the ones who are very well advanced. But especially in the rural areas, we are observing many a times situations where women are left with the labor and the work, and men, they handle the money. Not well at all. And thank you so much for mentioning it earlier. But that is how it happens. So it's really difficult. Coming back to the question, what is key is that you start trying. Start small, but start trying. Have your own bank account. Become bankable. That is part of literacy, but it also becomes part of inclusion. We are not talking necessarily of a business bank account, but at least, even if you are a married woman, have your own bank account and start managing your finances by yourself. See what it means to put money into a bank account. Build trust in the financial service providers who are around us and who are no longer going bankrupt. It is all a long journey, but these are the key cornerstones for women to start becoming financially literate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So start small, but start trying. Thank you very much. So I'm going to take this, go over to Ms. Tega. So what's the right mindset that a woman entrepreneur should have when she wants to access finance? Because you talked about mindset, knowledge, as a solution, as a business person.
I think the first thing is to believe that you can do anything as a woman. You're not limited because you're a woman. Whatever is available to your male counterpart is also available to you. And you have to be it, you have to live it and show it. Like he said, you have to build trust. So from your accounting details. And early on in my business, I was privileged to attend different seminars, workshops, and one of the things that was said over and over again is you have to build your business account and show that it's for business. So things like you shouldn't be having personal transactions on your business account. So you shouldn't be paying for your wig, paying for your personal stuff in your business transaction. Those little things can help you access loans, access financing, or even if you were positioning for investors, those are the things that they will be looking to see that, you're credible and you're doing business and you're not trying to run your home from your business. So it's really, I think it's a 360-degree mindset. You have to ensure that you're acting the person that you want your financial partners or support to see. And then, of course, you have to separate yourself from the business. So your business is an entity and it's separate from you. You're not your business. So behave like it's not you. And then, so let your transactions be transparent. And I think the most important thing, which I'm also learning as a businesswoman, is understand what your operating cost and separate your operating cost from your revenue. So if you're making a profit. And to tell yourself that this business is working or it's not working, you may need to change your business model, you may need to tweak certain things, or maybe even close the business. I think a lot of times women were so emotionally involved in our businesses that we don't tell ourselves the truth about a certain business structure. So if it needs to change, don't shy away from seeking counsel. Engage people. And as businesswomen, we bootstrap a lot because we're trying to save costs. At some point in your business, you need to engage the help of consultants. You need to engage the help of professionals, even accountants or legal professionals. When you get to that point, don't try to do it yourself. Get all these people on board so they can help you prepare yourself or position your business better. And then, so that whenever you have the opportunity to access all of these funds, you are, what's the word called? You are you're worthy of it. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. So seek counsel, don't try to do everything yourself as a business person. All right, so I'll move over to Mr. Michael. For those that are not aware of how your platform runs, I'd like you to give us a brief intro into how it really runs, how they can access it.
The name of my company is called Sitiamo. It's SYTIAMO. Very simple. If you Google it now, it will introduce you to who we are. It is a very simple thing. We have an app that we use to get your information, but like I said, you have to belong to an association. We don't collect collateral, but we believe that if the Yaloja knows you, the way our process works is this. We go to a market in a Yanupaja. We ask the leader of the market, do you have women that require small loan to help their business? She says yes. Can you give us 20 of these people to start with? She gives us a list. Our agent field officer puts the names and what these people are selling in our application. Back end in the head office, we pick it up, we do spontaneous calling. Out of the 20, we'll call like 5. We'll call the person that requested, we'll call their guarantor, just to be sure that we're dealing with the right people. You know, you have given us your address and all that, so we just make sure that we are dealing with the right people. When we are done with that, the agent field officer now goes to submit the same thing with the yellow jar. We'll take it off, and the money is made available. Unfortunately, 90% of the transaction is cash-based. So we'll bring cash to you. That 20,000 you want to collect, she will give you there and then. And we'll give you 1 week gap. We believe that in 1 week, whatever it is we are selling, you would have sold. So after 1 week, she comes back, pick a part of it, and like that. But we take our interest upfront. That's just what it is. Do we extend to 2 months? Yes. Can we go to 3 months? The answer is yes. But remember, the interest rate is paid on a monthly basis. So the longer you wait, the more, the higher the cost of funds to you. So that's how we operate. And like I said, we have helped the businesses of 16,000 hardworking market women since we started. We are in 28 states in Nigeria. We are in 208 markets. Are there challenges? I'll tell you too. 1 week after we gave out our money in Zamfara State, the government shut down telecoms. And this is 4 million that we just disbursed to people. For over 4 or 5 months, we did not recover 1 kobo. When they eventually sorted themselves out, we didn't get everything. Maybe half of it came back. The other one, we are still managing it. Those are the challenges. Like I said, Nigeria will humble you. Did we know that we are going to run into that problem? No. Bayelsa, when we were collecting the 6th week out of 8 weeks, water swallowed everywhere. How would you go in your honesty and in your truthfulness to that woman and say, Mama, Sikibo, your loan is due? You can't. So those are the realities of the business. But remember, what is driving us is to help hard-working market women that want to succeed. As long as Jesus has not returned, we'll keep helping until he returns. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you very much for that. So I hope, do we have our questions? Are we preparing them? So Ms. Tosin, there is a question or the solution around structure. So what practical steps can a woman entrepreneur take to structure her business so that accessing finance is easy?
Looking at it from the first angle, if you know, women, we are very, very peculiar. You start a business, you think of, oh, I'm going to get married, I'm going to have children, I'm going to take care of a family. There should already be a structure there because it is nature. When you get married, what is the next thing? You start giving birth to children, and you won't have time for your business so much like that at that point. So what is the structure put in place? You have to put all that into your business plan before you now talk of, I am moving from the informal to the formal sector. It is very, very important. It is very, very key. Like Tega said, the mindset of women, we need to change it. You are running your business. Don't look down on yourself. Don't look at yourself like, oh, my husband should take the front seat. I know that it's a big problem for most homes in Nigeria. The husbands don't want the wife to be so much out there. If we want to be truthful to ourselves, that is the major cause of what is slowing down women moving on in business in Africa and in Nigeria. So all this should be, women should look at themselves, change the mindset. Who is going to take over my business? If peradventure I get pregnant, is my business going to slow down? Is it going to stop at that point? You need to think about that. Then registering your business. Register your business and run it for yourself. I'll give you an example. I don't know how many of us heard of UWIN. How many of us know about UWIN? Youth Enterprise with Innovation in Nigeria. We had about 5 seasons. I think about 5 seasons. Season 3 was strictly for women. Why did we do this? Because we discovered that season 1, the number of male applicants was really high. Season 2, same thing. So we decided to go, let's do for women alone. You won't believe that season 3, the women that we told, oh, come and register your business, what did we notice? A lot of men forced their wives to register, to apply with their own businesses. I was a monitor for that business. for that program. Imagine going to monitor a woman. I'll give you an example. This woman, she put up car wash business. Imagine going to monitor that business. Then you think that, oh, I'm going to sit with the owner of the business and discuss with her. And it's the husband that is with all the documents. He's sitting down and is ready for all the questions. And I'm asking him that, sir, please excuse us. I want to speak with the owner of the business. He says, no, we are one. Anything you want to say it in front of me. And this woman was, she was so timid. She kept quiet and said, let him answer. It took a lot of telling him that I'm not going to give her the second tranche if you don't excuse us. That was when I discovered that, oh, this woman is not even the owner of the business. The business is for the husband. And she did not even know half of what was going on. So these are the challenges and problems we have. So what are the solutions? We need to change our mindset as women. You can run your business yourself when you put your mind to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Change of mindset. I think I've heard that a couple of times here. Thank you very much. So we're going to go quickly to questions.
Okay, my name is Princess. I want to sincerely appreciate the panelists. I picked quite a handful from this session. My question to Mrs. Tege Badagri, right?
Ms. Tega.
Tega.
Okay, I saw Tege there.
Was misspelled.
Okay, so Mrs. Tega, my question to you. I picked something where you talked about structuring our businesses. You said something, we should separate our businesses from our persons, okay? That's something for me. I have always known that, but making it practical now, and I need advice from everyone there. Now, you said something about transactions. The transactions we run with our business account, okay? You said if I want to spend, I shouldn't spend from my business account. My question, I have a son, for example. I want to buy ruler for my son from my funds. Let's say my client's paid in $1 there, and I want to pick money from that account to buy ruler. And you said if investors see me picking $1 there, it may rate me low. They may think I'm using the business account to run my family. I heard that point. So I need help. What do I do when I need money from my business account to buy my ruler?
Pay yourself a salary. Simple.
What did you say?
Pay yourself a salary.
Thank you. I'm coming. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so that means if I earn, I should pick something and target my own salary from that account to another account and start spending from that account.
Yes.
That's super.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, the next question.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, my question is to Mr. Michael. I want to know if it's only market-based business that can access loan from you. Because like, for me, I run the Catering Institute. Does it mean I cannot access a loan from your company? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. 80% of our loans go to markets, as I've explained, but it doesn't mean that we also don't give people like you. But remember, we have limited number of people that go to this market. So the market makes it easy for us to go and give loan and collect back loan. If we start giving everybody, imagine how many people we are going to hire. But for people like you, would you be willing to give us collateral? If the answer is yes, before I go, I'll give you my number. We will solve your problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for organizing this beautiful. My question goes to Mr. Is it Piki? Pike. Yeah. So, nice. You've really enlightened us. You've opened our eyes about financial inclusion, financial intelligence, and financial assessment. But for your wealth of knowledge around Africa, you mentioned that Nigeria will lag behind. And I can tell you just because of the population, a majority of population are women. And I can tell you we are not educated. So the problem here is that how can we bring Nigerian uneducated women to speed to actually understand this business. I'll tell you another part of Nigerian women in the market, and Mr. Mike can attest to it because I work in the market. They are on the business. They actually know what to do. It's just scaling up that I think we need to help them. So how do we bring them together and help them?
You know, how do we give voice to the voiceless? By speaking for them, right? By finding platforms where the voiceless, in their sum, start having a voice. And that is the high time that we indeed have to do. You're putting it so beautifully. And I want to come back to an earlier statement, my sister, with the beautiful glasses and your acknowledgement how important it is to keep personal money separate from business money, okay? That is the first principle. And you will be surprised how common practice that is in many of our mothers, in many of the market women you're referring to, even though they may not have the CAC and they may not have whatever not, but they also do have separate accounts because they know otherwise things, they go haywire. Let us acknowledge that at different levels, including government. Do you know how complicated it is to get a CAC? Over the past 16, 18 months, we are registering close to 3,000 enterprises in a CAC. We had to wait for up to 6 months for the CAC registration to be completed. 6 months is enough time to be bankrupt. Okay, so we need to educate our women that we don't necessarily have to wait until the CAC is there, but have a separate bank account for your business activity. Because somebody said it earlier, you need to have a track record. Yeah. If you can prove that this other account is for your business and you don't use it for your son's stationaries, but you really use it for business, you can prove that. You start creating a track record without having a CAC. And that is what we need. We need to start acknowledging that in this informal space where the majority of women operate, there is such a great wealth of knowledge. And we need to have meetings like these where women out of the marketplaces can speak out because they very often they sit with the right solutions for the Michaels of this world to provide then the right services. So thank you. I don't know whether I could answer, but let us remind ourselves to speak up and be the voice of those who cannot be heard in platforms like this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I think we can take one last question. Just one last question for this session. Further questions, you can take them maybe via the social media pages or in person when you meet them.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Please, my question goes this way. My name is Adeshida Fulashade. So my question goes this way, like what Mr. Michael said, that they loan people money to get a business. Let me give an instance. Like the Yaloja that is saying that they borrow money and probably they return a particular amount per week. Well, as far as I'm concerned, to my own knowledge, the way I understand it, if they borrow 20,000, let's assume they borrow 20,000 naira, and they are to be paying back for 5,000 naira per week, right? You know the kind of business they do. Number one, they have a lot of responsibilities to handle. So even the gain they make from the money they borrowed might not even be something to compare to what they actually needed. So to my own knowledge, I feel the 20,000 they still borrow is still is the same money they are returning back. You don't understand, because when they borrow another one, they have to re-borrow again, right? To buy another market. So now, what is their gain now? Collecting that money, paying back the loan and still collect it? Because I feel if I'm borrowing money, then I should be able to use it to do business that will use small thing for me to start that same business. Do you understand? After payment of the one I borrowed.
Okay, can I answer you?
Yeah, quickly,
Okay.
Mr. Michael.
During COVID, I live in the heart of Victoria Island. I actually live at Babbage Towers. So during the COVID, everywhere was shut down. Babbage Towers, Oluole Street, is about 80 meters. It's not a long street. But during that COVID period, I counted 12 mama puts sprung up overnight. They were not there before. But because people were not doing anything other than to eat food and survive, 12 people started selling food. How did they get the money they were using? You know, if you know Babbage Towers, you know there is a Babbage police station. Yes. In that Babbage police station, there is where they sell a lot of things. There is a market inside Babbage police station. So this woman goes there. Mama Sikira, please help me with tomato, pepper to make stew. I'll return your money in the evening. She didn't have money at all. So the seller of these condiments gives her the money. She goes and sells that day, goes back in the evening. She has made a profit of 2,000. She collected the 1,005 she collected and went and paid back. The next day, the same thing. The next day, the same thing. Within 1 week, she makes a profit of 12,000 naira. Are you saying that from that 12,000 naira, assuming she borrowed money, she shouldn't have paid it back? The answer is yes. You see, the reason why we collect that money monthly is that if you leave them till the end of the month, stories that touch the heart will enter inside.
All right.
And we can't help other people with that.
Okay, so final words from our panelists. What would you like to say? Because how we Ms. Tosi? Final words for women entrepreneurs.
Okay, like we said, I work with SMEDAN, Small and Medium Enterprise Development Agency of Nigeria. So what we basically do in SMEDAN is to teach people how to run their businesses properly, how to establish your businesses properly. And SMEDAN has programs that are women-friendly. We have the YSP, Women in Self-Employment. We have the Women Entrepreneurship Development Programs. We don't only train, we don't only hold you. What we are now trying to do, because we have a new Director General in position now, he has seen that we've trained a lot of MSMEs. What next? What do we do next? So we are trying to float our own microfinance bank, so that when we train you, we know that we've interacted with you, we know your history, and we know everything. So we can now give you the funds and monitor and evaluate your business. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Michael, final words.
I don't believe that money should stop women from pursuing their dreams and aspirations. If you wake up in the morning and you want to succeed, the only thing stopping you is money. Reach out to Sitiamo. We got you covered. Thank you.
All right, they got you covered. Ms. Tega, you want to leave them with any final words?
Okay, I would say that women should seek, and when they seek, they will find. Don't let anything hold you back. There's always somebody, there's always an opportunity, there's always an option to move you a step further, and don't stay stuck. So SMEDAN is offering a lot of programs for you. There are a lot of organizations that are offering training, support, information that can help you improve yourself and your business. Go find them and do them, and then you see how that it will improve you and move you towards your goal or towards your desired place in your business.
All right, so seek knowledge and you'll find. Yeah, Mr. Pike, please.
I want to talk about the mindset, and I want to remind all women in this house and elsewhere in Nigeria, you do not have to be in fashion to be in fashion. You do not have to run a fashion business to be a woman. You can also run a different business. There are a lot of women in fashion business, and I want to appeal to women. There are so many business opportunities out there outside the line of fashion. And secondly, maybe just leaning on what you said, please do not underestimate the value of knowledge. Once you have the knowledge, once you have the understanding on how to go about your affairs, the finances, they will follow automatically. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, so with that, we've come to the end of this amazing panel session. I'm very hopeful that you learned a lot. So from here, I would say, start where you are, keep trying, and seek knowledge. Thank you very much.
My name is Fauzia Taiwo Akobi. I'm CEO of Adma Corporate Catering and Events. Actually, I've been attending summits, but this one is superb because many insights, for instance, now, they let me know that as a business owner, we should run our business as if we are running our business, children. If, for instance, as a person, we don't want our children to lack anything. So which means we should also make our business not to lack anything, mostly matter of finance. What do I mean? That you should not just dabble into your finance, your business finance or business money just as anyhow. What you should always pump into your business so that it will boom, and by that you too also be robust of having business, not just business but business. The organizer, I'm very grateful. May God continue to bless them and put more blessings down. But this program is a superb. More of it. Hope this one will not be the last. We are expecting more of it. God.
Did they do justice to the topic? Yes, they did. Right? And there's something GIZ does with GOPA called the ICSS. Innovate, create, start, and scale. It's a training program, right? We are hoping that with finances, we'll be able to enroll some of you guys. We'll look for the finances and enroll some of you guys into that program. Once you're done with that program, it will also help you, right? I'm a trained coach for that system. So we'll look for a way around it to help you. And maybe our next speaker will be able to sponsor some of you to attend that training. We know we are in a political season, right? Are we in a political season? And I found out that every political season, every other person is important apart from the woman. The only time they need the woman is for her to come and vote, right? And after she votes, they abandon her, right? But I told myself, I and my team, I said, this time it will be different. So alongside with my team, we are partnering with the Ministry of Women Affairs to do the first of its kind pink debate. The only gender-based debate that will focus on only issues of gender. We have invited all the political parties, and that debate will hold on the 10th of December in Abuja. Can you clap for us, please? Because we believe that these aspirants must come and tell us what their plan is for the woman, right? She's not just supposed to be in the kitchen. We are going to be asking strong questions on affirmative action, girl-child education, maternal and mortality health. So there's a lot of things we would ask them, but that's for that debate. So while we were organizing this event, I thought it right that since we're going to be gathering a quite number of women in this place, why don't I throw out an opportunity to one of the presidential aspirants to come and say, okay, if I get into office, access to finance is a problem. What will I do for women? And we'll be having this event in Abuja, in Port Harcourt, also in Kogi. The Kogi people have called us to fix their own events. And this is our contribution to democracy and next year elections. Like you know, LC, the Lagos State Chamber of Commerce, had their own rights, where they had on economy with the aspirants, right? So we are saying we are women. So what do you have for the women? On this note, please help me welcome the presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Prince Adewole Adebayone. As he tells us, if voted into office, what I have for women as regards access to finance. And probably he will end by sponsoring some of you to our program on ICSS. Thank you very much. Sir, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Let me thank the organizers for inviting us. And let me thank you, women, for putting this together. There's something, I'm sure we know it, it's called macroeconomics. No business, however well arranged, can escape the macroeconomic imperatives in the country. You are running a business, whether it's hairdressing, whether it's catering, whether it's tailoring, whether it's medicine, whatever you are doing, hotel management, you cannot on your own protect the value of the naira. You cannot determine whether the naira becomes 800 to the dollar or 900. You cannot determine the price of petrol. It is the job of government, using the central bank and Ministry of Finance and other tools of government, to ensure that you have a stable currency, so that if you are selling things overseas, you can receive your income. If, on the other hand, you are importing fabric from Turkey to make your clothes, you don't sell the clothes, and when you want to go to Turkey to buy the next bale of cloth, your money is not enough anymore because the exchange rate has changed. So we'll take care of that for you. Second is that we will ensure that in access to finance, and that is where we need to be careful. In Nigeria today, access to finance is 99% in favor of big businesses and about 1% in favor of small and medium enterprises. It is assumed that it's an achievement for the country if somebody set up a cement factory or a refinery, very large. We say the largest of the largest of that. If you know the amount of money that Nigeria spent on Ajaokuta steel, that money that has not produced 1 bar of steel will have supported 40 million men and women, small enterprises. So in our government, because we are social democrats, we'll ensure that SMIDAN, which is the agency, is properly funded to the tune that it's only smaller than the central bank. Secondly, that in government contracting, and that is where I will conclude because of time, there's an agency in America we call SDA, Small Businesses Office. That Small Business Authority ensures that it monitors governments everywhere in America to ensure that if you are, let me give an example. In Nigeria today, our budget is 20 trillion. 20 trillion is the budget. I don't want to talk about the deficit aspect of it. Out of that, government will give contracts. But I can assure you that small and medium enterprises will not get up to 2% of the contracts. Maybe some of them will get from being subcontractors to the major contractors. But under the SDP, our approach, and I use it in the Second Republic, I think UPN and GMPP used it, whereby if you wanted to make 2 million notebooks for children in school, you don't go to a big publisher and give them the 2 million to make. No, you go to small and medium enterprises and give them in 20,000 so that everybody is doing that. If you look at road construction, they are making a road from Lagos to Ibadan. They give it to one big company, maybe a German foreign company. And then that company looks at all the people selling iron rod, doing everything along that Lagos-Ibadan, both Lagos, Ogun, and Oyo, the 3 states implicated. They will not buy anything from them. So in our own government, it's going to be different. The third element is access to finance. And access to finance requires 3 basic things, and I will conclude. 1, you need a database. The government of your country needs to know that you exist, you live in Lagos, and you have this business, and you employ this number of people. That record is missing. That was why when they said they were giving money to businesses during COVID, they were just giving it to people who they knew. And the way government knows you in Nigeria, unfortunately, is you must be involved in politics before government can know you. If you are not a woman leader for the party or youth leader or something, they don't know you. So in our government, it will be different. Then you would have, once you open your business in CAC or any agency, there's a TIN code that they give to people now, tax code, tax number, tax identification number. In a properly run economy, that tax identification number is not only for collecting money from you, it is also for support to flow back to you. So, from a few years, I was away from America, and I found out that when I went back, I was getting a lot of letters in my box from the tax office. And they were telling me that there was COVID and there's so much money we are entitled to collect, and they have not seen me to come and collect that money. So they were writing lots of letters. So I believe that once our government knows the number of entrepreneurs through the Small Business Administration, you will be able to know how you are doing, what is happening to you, and why is your business, you have 5 staff before, why do you have 3 now, what happened? So that kind of intervention will be there. Lastly, and that will be the conclusion of it all, we will ensure that litigation, processing, anything that has to do with small business remains small. The earlier speaker here mentioned that you could go to Corporate Affairs Commission to try to register a business, and it will take you 6 months. That is even not as bad as when somebody owes you money, or your landlord wants to recover a premises, or anything. You cannot afford the lawyer, you cannot afford any of those services. So we want to ensure that there are something in England, it started in England long ago, I'm a lawyer. It's called Small Claims Court. And it has worked very well in Tanzania, because I advise business in Tanzania. If you are running a business and you are a tailor, and someone comes to buy clothes from you and doesn't pay you, or buys cement from you, doesn't pay you, or buys anything, you only need to write a letter by yourself, no lawyer required. You go to the nearest magistrate court. It's happening in Tanzania, and there are black people like us. You write and say, this person bought something from me, he did not pay me. The magistrate will go to their office where they work, or take their property and collect it and pay you. And none of them lasts more than 30, 35 days. So with this hastening and fastening of processes, small businesses will be able, in conjunction with other training that will be given, will be able to survive. And the target for the Social Democratic Party is that 60% of employment will come from small and medium enterprises. That way, they become a major component in the economy, and poverty will go away, because not only will the government be giving you better infrastructure and all of that, whatever talent you have, you'll be able to exercise it and grow it, and it may happen that many of the companies you see in the world today, Honda, Toyota, Mitsubishi, they started as small enterprises. Do you know that Honda, that produces your car, produces aircraft, started as a bicycle repairer? So it is possible for small businesses in a good environment under a government like Social Democratic Party to grow into big conglomerate. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Rami Falaya. Mine is not so much of a question, but just to comment on something you said. You said, like, the government doesn't have a database of the people to know you exist. But I don't necessarily agree. As a matter of fact, I feel like we have a lot of duplicate functions, or a lot of duplicate agencies. You have the NIN, you have your BVN. Those 2 things alone is enough for the government to have a database, because now you can almost not get anything without your BVN or your NIN. You cannot get a cell phone, you cannot get a SIM card without those things. So we have it, it exists. The issue is they're not putting it to good use, to be able to actually access the data they require of people and then give the people what they need. That was number one. Number two, sorry, these are not questions, they're just observations based on what you said, because, I mean, we've had so many political seasons and a lot of politicians come and they promise a lot of things. My government will do this, my government will do that. I'm a citizen, I'm a tax-paying citizen, I'm very proud to say that. So when governments come and they say, I promise you I'll do this, I'll do that, we also need to put the onus back on the people. I'm not a politician, by the way, I'm a business owner. We also need to put the onus back on the people. How many people here actually pay their taxes? Because when you make all these demands of the government, do you actually fulfill your own responsibility? I'm not here to say that government is good. As a matter of fact, I actually think they've done a very bad job. But as a citizen, how many people actually go and pay their taxes, and then you cannot beat your chest and say, you know what, I pay my taxes, and therefore, I think that I shouldn't be paying for me to be getting water, or paying for generator, or why am I generating my electricity myself? Why am I getting rid of my trash myself when I'm a tax-paying citizen? So when we are making all these promises, we also need to take the onus back on the people, on their own responsibilities to the government. Thank you.
There are two things we need to understand. Data has classification and categorization. To have demographic data, to say, this is somebody's NIN, this is their BVN. For business administration, that's not enough. The Department of Business Administration goes beyond that. For example, if you walk up to Ministry of Commerce in Lagos State and say, how many tailors are there in Lagos State? You can't get the answer. That's what I'm saying. They can get your BVN, but they don't know what you are doing. So if they don't know what they are doing, they are not able to help you. That is the first thing I want us to understand. The data you need for the purposes of business, small business administration. Look at SMIDAN. You can go to SMIDAN office, which is the federal agency. They don't have a database. So even if you go to CAC and register your business to be selling pure water, CAC will give you your certificate. You will hang it in your office. But SMIDAN will not know. So what we are trying to do is to have an integrated system whereby the small business administration knows what you are doing. In fact, in countries like Bangladesh, other places, they have extension officers. You know, in the traditional system, we used to have somebody in Yoruba language called Alajo, his daily contribution. They used to go from people's shop to people's shop. How are you doing? What happened? How much did you make? So we are trying to give that extension. Second, the issue of paying tax or not paying tax. Paying tax is good for citizens to pay tax. But for a government that wants to grow the economy, when you are interacting with businesses, that is not the priority. In fact, in many countries, they give tax waivers to small businesses because our focus is to eradicate poverty by giving people ability to earn income. If a person who is frying akara is able to have access to capital and they set up a small shop and they hire like 5, 6 people, for Social Democratic Party, whether they pay tax to us or not, we're not that worried because they are no longer poor. They are able to feed their children and all of that. We will start our tax collection from the big corporations first before we gradually see that people, after they escape poverty, because in other spending, for example, let me give you one small example. If you are running a tailoring shop, I'm not going to come to you to worry you about tax. But the day you make enough money and you buy a car, when you go and register that car, you will pay us money for registering your car. Because we now know that you are making money, you can afford to buy a car. The day you buy land, you will go to Alausa to go and register the land. So from there you can get other income, but don't use direct taxation to kill a business that has not started. That's what we are saying.
Thank you very much. Please, very brief, straight to the point. because we're actually running out of time for the next session.
My question is, you made mention of small claims squad. Now, all this agenda, is it only when your government come into power it can come to reality? Because many small businesses are actually suffering from debt recovery. So is it only when your government come into power that small businesses can benefit from it?
So let me just take the second one so you answer together, the final one.
Long answer to that is yes. Because unless you are in government, you cannot exercise government powers. You can only be advising. So luckily for Nigerians, we have an opportunity to change our government in February. And by May, a new government will come into place. But if you don't change your government, you will obtain the same condition. And what we are trying to do is very simple. We are trying to ensure that, there are three benefits from this change. Most of the income that small and medium enterprises make goes into earning a living. Food, housing, transportation, paying children's school fees. Once you have a government that takes care of that, like when I was growing up, till I became a lawyer, my entire family did not spend on me up to 30,000 naira because I went to public schools. So that was a saving. Now, to send your child to primary school or daycare, it costs so much. That's out. Second, when government doesn't patronize you, it is difficult for you to grow as much as somebody being patronized by the government. And the government is a large spender in the economy. If you know any of your friends who's a decorator, who is decorating for Lagos State government, he will make more money than you decorating for private people. And that is true of many sectors. So we will ensure that contracting is fairly done, that you can bid for a contract, not because you know somebody. Thirdly, that you have long-term funding. Like the said that left before me, what they are doing is private contribution, private attempt to help. But that is not how the big men get their money. The big men don't get a loan where they have to pay in 1 month. They don't get a loan, no. The big men get a lot of support from the government. So they can take a 5-year loan, 10-year loan, 7-year loan, so they are more comfortable. So what we are trying to do is to bring this level of capital into the small scale level. And it's not that we're going to give you money to run away. The Small Business Administration Office has ways by which to monitor your business and over a period of 7 years. So imagine if you wanted to set up a nursery school in your neighborhood and you have a 7-year loan, you will be more comfortable in your planning. And that is the kind of thing we're trying to do.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Please, a round of applause for him.
So let me just introduce someone to you. Yusuf, please. This is our Vice President. He's supposed to be in Abuja, but the reason why he came with me here is that most of his adult life, he has been handling small and medium enterprises. That's what he does. So maybe he can give you a little introduction.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. So as my principal has explained, I have been a banker and an SME specialist most of my adult life, most of my professional life. I'm actually an engineer by training, but I've been in the bank, I've been dealing with SMEs, and I had a very interesting time here listening to your panelists earlier on. But one of the things that I think I failed to hear from them was the need for grouping and cooperatives within the informal sector, the women. Because what that does for you is that information, which is one of the key things that is used to exploit you, when you are in a group or a cooperative, there's a lot of information that goes through, number one. Number two, when you're looking for finance and you have to learn about finance. When you're in a group, it is easier for you guys to deal with the banks or any financier. When that is done, they can deal with you. And because you're a group, you tend to support each other in terms of collaterals. Because when you're a group, if you're giving money as a group and one person doesn't pay, the rest of you will put pressure on that person to pay. So there's a lot of advantages to grouping and cooperatives. I didn't hear much of that from them. So it is important for you when you come to places like this. Somebody talked about a voice for the voiceless, right? In fact, even the exploitations that you get from husbands is protected when you're in a group, because they can't just come into a group and mess up. So the question that she asked about a voice for the voiceless, this grouping, these cooperatives, is really very important. So thank you very much for giving us the opportunity to be here.
Okay, my name is Anojulu Onyinye, and I'm the CEO of Flings Food and Beverage Industries Limited. For me, today it was, very, very awesome. I've been attending trainings, but today there's something specific, about today's training. First of all, mentality of women is very important as regarding businesses, the way we see ourselves, and also knowing that there are a lot of platforms that are ready to welcome women, bring women into, realizing their whole vision and everything they want to be. So for me and networking, I have met a lot of wonderful people today that my relationship and my network is going to another level. So I'm really very grateful for the organizers of this program, and I know we're going places with them. I'm going home with a lot of things. I have been able to know a whole lot of, financing opportunities that are there for women. I'm going home with another mentality altogether. If I were operating maybe in 70% of mentality of where women should be, I'm more bolder to assess platforms and leverage on heights, knowing that the world is there even to hold my hands. I'm no longer afraid, failing, because there are a lot of people there that are there to even gear me up. So today, it's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the next presentation, for just 10 minutes, the banks have been our problem. So I brought a banker to tell you something about what her bank will do for you. Please put your hands together for Bolanle from Sterling Bank. She's the head of the MSMEs, am I right? SME, Sterling Bank. So she will come with a presentation and let you know what Sterling Bank has for women, how to access it. Please, when she's done, don't rush her. You have access to me, access to her. And if you stay to the end, you will see her. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's really nice to be here. Thank you very much for organizing this event, to all of the event organizers. I currently head the SME product team at Sterling Bank PLC. One of the things that we've done is that we found out that businesses are the backbone to the economic development. Hence the reason why we decided to segment and focus on small and medium businesses as well as micro businesses. One of the things we found out were some pain points based on engagement, right? We found out that most businesses are run through personal accounts. I know a whole lot has been said on the previous panel sessions, and it makes it difficult for access to finance. It makes it difficult for you to also have visibility based on the backbone of different finance and expansion. That's the reason why at Sterling we decided to develop what we call the Business Hub. What this platform actually seeks to do is to ensure that we're able to help and support businesses, right? We understand that every business owner has a whole lot for them to do. They need to plan their business, they need to organize their business. At the same time, you also need to do some other things around your household. And especially for women, we understand that this might be very difficult. And that's one of the reasons why we said the Business Hub as a platform, the major goal we are trying to do is to ensure that we provide you with services and offerings that would help you reduce or minimize a whole lot of the hustles that you would experience typically. This is just an introduction as to the SMEs, and because of the limited time, so I will just speak on. The Business Hub platform helps you with your structure. How does it help you formalize a structure? What we've done is we've gone into different partnerships, right? We understand the hassles that typically we experience when it comes to CAC, engagement with CAC or with solicitors, to be able to help us register our business and how long that actually takes. So what we do is we encourage businesses to sign up on the platform to be able to have access to their business registration. This we have typically reduced to a period of 10 business days because of the different engagements that we have with solicitors and partners. What we are thriving on is we're not doing this alone. We can't do it alone. We need all of the ecosystem stakeholders, right? And that is the major thing that we're pushing forward to ensure that we have partners and partnerships, attend events such as this, get feedback and understand how better can we position ourselves to help business owners focus solely on making sales, making profits. Because what we've also found out that even in the structuring, you see people that perhaps they got into that business because of passion. Some people got into that business accidentally. So when I mean accidentally, perhaps you finished from school, there's no job forthcoming, and as such, you pick up something to do, which is quite, commendable. But there are certain things that if you then come to a bank, because I know a lot of feedback we've gotten is access to finance, access to finance. They would ask you, are you structured? That means, are you registered with the CAC? Do you have a business model? What is your transaction turnover? Are you sure you are putting the right pricing on your goods or your service? Because we do understand that a lot of us factor the pricing without really considering all of the elements of cost, right? And that's the reason why we have this platform. We understand this at the pain point, and that is what this platform is meant to do. Now, I've talked about the structure aspect of things, the access to finance. To be able to have access to finance, you need to have transactions moving to show that your business is viable, to show that you have that capacity to pay back, because no bank wants to chase you to get their money back. They want to make sure that out of the repayment that you are doing, right, there's a particular threshold that you should be able to have, right? So I think it's about 33.3% typically, meaning that whatever you are making, you shouldn't repay, your repayment shouldn't be more than that percentage of your income. If it is too much, it means that you are going to be stretched, because we understand that you have other needs for funds that you are also putting in. Someone made a very valid point earlier today, separation of your accounting entries, meaning that you need to separate your personal account from your business account. And how do you do that? As a business owner, you need to calculate and understand that you are also a staff. You are an employee of that business. So you need to pay yourself salary. You don't pick from the company account, but you actually take a bit from it. But that is after factoring your expense, your cost, and understanding what your profit margin is. And if you need to go back and up that spread, understanding what your market is and who your customers are and where your location also is based, because your location is very key. So some of the things that we have is majorly the business structure that we're trying to help you do, advisory services where we are sure that your business is something that would stand the test of time. It will grow above 3 years. Our segmentation is that we see businesses within the first 3 years as emerging businesses. Once you've been able to expand past 3 years, we see that you're already growing, because it means that whatever profit you are turning is sustaining that business, making you pay for your employees or your your rental space and the likes. We went further to say, what other solution can we help businesses with? We have a fashion hub at Ikeji-Lagos House. It's called the Business Hub. If you see it, you see the sign TBH. What we did was to create that hub with fashion equipment. So from your sewing machines to your whipping machines to your board, ironing boards, and different things, you name it, with your mannequins and all of that you need. Saying that those in that fashion business, all they can do is take their material, walk into that place, and utilize the services there. You get registered and then utilize the services there. There's a fee to pay, but the fee is really minimal, right? And we'll have a manager there who can always give you assistance and support. Additionally, within that space, you also have a modeling agency, meaning that you can actually have professional pictures taken of your outfit. This helps promoting your access to visibility. We also have co-working space there. We have people who are freelancers, and we also have people even in the travel industry that come there to work, because we're providing you with that space. You don't have to worry about power. You don't have to worry about so many things, right? And we do this also on a subscription basis or a one-off basis. Those are the things that we've been trying to help businesses with. And the only way we also get to expand on our solution is also by getting feedback and understanding the peculiarities, because there are different business sectors. Different business sectors have different kinds of needs. Additionally to that, what we also have is, how do you get to tell your customers to pay you, right? You can easily create what we call a payment link, which you can send to your customers, meaning that they can use perhaps their card or different kinds of methods to access that payment with an invoice. You need to have that professional look, that professional brand, so that everybody will be able to take you seriously. And you yourself will also have that faith and conviction that this business that have started is here to stay. Okay. So those are some of the services that we have, right? We're also working to make sure that we have communities. Communities in the sense that what is peculiar to, let's say, the food industry might be different to the drinks industry. So by understanding what those individual communities require, we can then further structure perhaps our financing. Right now, what you would find most people is that you probably have a blanket sort of requirement, and all of that. But what we're trying to do further is make sure that we have constant engagement with the community so that we can streamline our offerings and ensure they also align even with the current situation that we're in the economy. So at the end of the day, businesses can grow, can scale, and be sustainable. The main goal is for your business to be sustainable. In addition to that, we also have different kinds of offerings. We have alternative power offerings, whereby you can easily subscribe for alternative power, meaning your inverters, your batteries, and all of that, so that it helps take the load off you and you don't have to worry about maintenance of a generating machine, worry about diesel or fuel, and all of those particular costs. While we might look at it as, oh, I want to get an inverter and all this alternative power, the thing is that, number one, you're being kind to your environment, because we need to leave this place for the generations to come in a better state, right? So you're being kind to your environment. At the same time, your business is able to scale. There's no issue of there's no light, because that's the major reason why I can't work. Or my customer is in my shop and then there's really no light. It doesn't also show that level of credibility or support for that business, right? Because then they'll be wondering. What we also plan to do is to be able to give access to market being visibility. We're actually in talks with different partners to see how best can we support businesses, perhaps maybe through providing them with technical means, right? Meaning that technical inputs that they might require at subsidized rates, because we want to make things a whole lot better and easier to support businesses as they are scaling. So those are some of the offerings that Sterling Bank currently offers. And the reason why we are actually segmented this way is because we believe that by us focusing primarily on certain sects or segments of businesses separated from your large corporate, so that's the small, medium enterprises, we will be able to understand the needs and be able to provide the right solution that fits that business. We also have our micro business division, whereby what they do more is engage in communities. The strength of a community, I know someone has spoken around that, is really huge and immense, because sometimes you might not be able to get access to finance as an individual, but when you go as a community, you would have that access to finance simply because there's a group of people. So you now have what you call like a grouping score or a credibility score that can be assigned to that particular group, and also you would have people also checkmate you even outside of the banks. Because at the end of the day, what exactly do we want to do? We want to support small, medium, micro businesses to start, to scale, and to be sustainable. Thank you very much.
I want to read a tweet, something somebody sent me on WhatsApp. She said, you can pack millions of women on the platform. The banks won't give them any loan. It happened in 2004. So, Bolale, I want to ask, please, that this prophecy should not come to pass.
Yes, no problem.
All right.
But the key thing I would like to say also is that in having access to finance, you need to understand and identify what the loan purpose is. Sometimes what we found is that some people request for certain kinds of loans, right? And the kind of transactions that they've done on their account does not actually support that amount of loan. So if you were asking for a loan as cash, right, and it's not for your working, it's not as your working capital, but you want to use it to acquire an asset, what you should have done initially is to ask for asset financing. So that way, that asset becomes your collateral, and then it reduces a whole lot, and it helps us understand, okay, so this is what you want to actually get, this is why you want to get it, and a lot of the analysis that will be done will be towards that. But I think most times, a lot of people just ask for money in terms of cash, without actually balancing to identify what exactly is the real loan purpose.
All right, thank you, Bolade. Quick one before I open the question to the floor. How long does a client need to have a relationship with your institution before they can access finance?
Okay. So currently what we have today, right, is that we encourage you to have at least minimum of 6 months. But what we are trying to expand on with our business support facility, which is our lending platform for SMEs, is that we're trying to incorporate the fact that you might not have been banking with us for 6 months, but you have an existing business account elsewhere. So we would then ask you to provide perhaps maybe a 1-year statement so that we can see how your operations have been exactly.
All right, thank you. So please, a round of applause for Bonani. Actually opening the floor for 3 questions. Wow, you have a lot of questions. They are here for you. 4 questions. I'll give numberings, right? And I'll pass the mic round, and as they take the 4 questions, you would answer. So while they are taking the questions, please will permit the candidate of SDP to leave for another function. So let me give the numbering.
Good afternoon, everybody. Standing on the existing protocol, I want to ask, please. Most times women come to bank for loans. The issue is not only about not lending them the money. What do you do afterwards in following up to help most of them that are not aware of what and what to do? How do you advise them and see to it that at least they have a backbone, someone from the bank who is assigned to this customer that wants to access loan? Maybe because of lack of information, the person couldn't, or not structuring the business. So what help can you learn?
Okay, to answer that question, so typically what we do is that, of course, immediately you're onboarded on our platform or in our bank, you have a relationship manager who would help you analyze your books, even before presenting it, to understand how the cycle is and what you might need to do to improve it. What we're also trying to leverage now is that we're also going into partnerships with different companies that can also provide capacity building, trainings. We have a department called One Woman Department as well. They've been in different partnerships with LBS and the likes, trying to educate people, give them the necessary trainings and understanding of how business should actually be structured, what you should look out for. So aside from us, from the customer actually having relationship officers who will do that one-on-one review of their books, we're also into partnerships to be able to help with capacity building on a larger scale so that business owners know what exactly they need to be able to have a sustainable business. But if you do have any complaint or any advisory request, you can easily send us an email at hello@thebusinesshub.ng, HELLO for hello, at the business hub, THEBUSINESS
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Ma, please, I would like to ask for a business that is not actually a startup, because like you said, most businesses run their accounts on personal accounts. So for a business like that is just registering a business account and really needs a loan, is it possible to use the person's personal account, like 1-year statements, to get the loan or something? Because I don't understand if I have to, because I need 6 months to run the business accounts before I can access the business loan. And it's really a long time. So.
Right. So in that scenario, right, where you have a personal account, we do have all this kind of personal lending facilities and personal options. However, if you do open a business account, right, what we can then now do is also review that your personal account to be sure the kinds of transactions that have gone in and out are majorly business oriented and doesn't have personal transactions, because once you start having personal transactions modeled up with the business transactions, it becomes a bit difficult for us to really project or analyze, right, what your turnover would be on that particular business. So we do have those personal lending facilities as well that can support you in the immediate if that personal account has been used not only for the business but both business and personal needs. So the transactional and credit turnover should suffice for that.
I want to appreciate your presentation. It was quite enlightening. But my aspect of clarity I would like you to shed light on is on the assistance given through the business hub. Okay, I love the fact that you mentioned structuring of businesses, and you emphasize more on business registration. But I, for one, know that there is much more to business structuring than just registering the business. That do your bank give support in further helping businesses to be well structured? That's one. Then secondly, I also saw about the registration of limited liability for 47 naira.
7,000, yes.
Sorry, 47,000 rather. I would like to find out more about it. So these are my questions. Then I also want to add that with all that have been said today, there is need for Sterling Bank customers to know, because I'm just hearing this for the first time. So if there is a way you enlighten your customer more, if not for this kind of gathering, one may not know that you do all of this. So there is need. So this is just a form of feedback. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your questions and, of course, the recommendation as well, duly noted. So the first question around what kind of level of support that we also give aside from registration, right? The other support that we also give is the advisory support. We give that advisory support to businesses. Like I also mentioned, we're in partnerships. So those partnerships help us also to be able to introduce our community. We're building a community of business owners. We also have periodic webinars and events. I think it was last month that we had an event for SMEs that we had pushed out to everyone who had subscribed to the Business Hub as part of our community. It was hosted by Tricia Bees, giving insights into how to end the year with a good sales in terms of visibility, marketing, and different things. So those are the things that we do as well to support businesses in having them understand how do you get to move ahead. Aside from registration, now you're registered. How then do you have to structure your business? We also keep resources on our website as well in terms of how do you get to start a pitch, how do you get to do your business model canvas, understanding who your customers are, what the competitive market is saying, and how to be unique, right? How to differentiate yourself. So those are the things that we also do to support businesses aside from the structuring. The payment solution that I also mentioned is also available whether you are registered or you're not registered. It's also a starting point for businesses to also be able to aid their collection. Regarding the pricing of the limited liability, so the limited liability comes with business registration. What you'll be getting will be your CAC documents. You would also be getting a search report that would be that would aid the opening of a business account, so you would not need to pay an additional 10,000 naira, which is the fee that every bank charges for such reports. You would also be getting your tax identification number. Your first checkbook issuance would also be free. So those are some of the packages that we've put together. And you also have the accounts that will be open for you would have 0 annual maintenance fee for 3 years.
So you would not be gaining any sort of account maintenance charges for the 3 years. While for business name registration, we charge 23,000, and you are still entitled to all of these things: tax identification number, CAC registration, set report that will support the opening of the business account that has 0 AMF annual maintenance fee for 3 years. So just by going to the Business Hub, www.thebusinesshub.ng, once you sign up, you can then request for your business to be registered.
Thank you for the clarifications. My name is Bukola Adedeji. I'm a market woman. And Sterling Bank, people have really talked good concerning you. So that's why I said, let me just try it if it will work out. But it didn't work out. So I want to know the reason why. Being that you've explained so many things now, but in all those criteria, I've not seen what I need. Is there any other thing that make people to be qualified for your loan? Because I'm in a marketplace, and people that I met there, they explained so many things concerning Sterling Bank, and I tried it. I used my business account, in which I've been using for over a year. It has been functioning over a year now. So it didn't work out. I used my personal account again. It didn't work out. They said, I'm not qualified. I didn't meet their criteria. And there was an app they use called Spectre. I hope you are aware of that. Yeah. So that's the app we use.
Yeah, that's for personal.
So I don't know. I really want to know, because that very particular time, it has been like a month ago, 2 months ago now. I've been on it. In fact, that lady, that was a marketing manager that came to attend to us. She was the one that did everything, not even ourselves. So she knew everything, but she was so surprised that why didn't I qualify to, to collect the loan? So I want to know what it entails. Thank you.
Right. So it depends on a number of factors. And I think the best way for me to know in your own particular situation will be to get your details today, so that by Monday I'll be able to look into what was done, because I need to understand what type of business you are running, what sort of loan you were applying for, what amount you were applying for, what your turnover is, and the criteria that was given, and the reason why that loan was particularly rejected. So it would be nice to get your contact so that I can help you look that up.
All right, thank you. Please a round of applause for Bolanle from Sterling Bank.
My name is Yasira Hassan. Then I'm an event decorator, so I came here to learn about finance, how to access finance for my business, how to collect grants, and how to collect loans from banks.
In 2 minutes' time, Mariam will be joining us via Zoom from, I think, Côte d'Ivoire, right? She's the head of AFDB Afawa Fund. If you don't know anything about Afawa Fund, go and read about it. It was set up by the African Development Bank to try and mitigate the $42 billion gap in financing for women. Guess what? She was at my event in Rwanda this year. I organized the annual African Women's Summit. Next year, we are going to South Africa. You can join us if you want to. So she was with us in Rwanda this year, and she said something. Last year, they disbursed $500 million to financial institutions to give to women. Who got the money here? Guess what? She didn't want to tell me because it's tough, you understand? She didn't want to give me the name of the banks. But I had to find out. We have at least 5 banks in Nigeria that have that money. Guess what? Interest rate, 1 digit. Yes. Guess what? Almost no collateral. Yes. In this country, the banks are without money. So I have decided that if the banks do not want to... Billion, let me know when she's live, please. I have decided that if the banks don't want to give you that information, I will give you the information. Yeah? So that's why I say knowledge is what? Power. So while interviewing her early in May, she told me that this year, it's $1 billion they have. And it's annoying. It's annoying. And you go to these banks, they treat you like they don't have money for you. And it's not their money. This money is meant for women. I asked her, well, she would speak to you herself. She will tell you, can we be one house? She will tell you what the banks are telling her are the problem that you people have, that they cannot give you the money. Now, understand that 1 billion is the whole of Africa. It's not just for Nigeria. Understand that. But a huge chunk will come to Nigeria, right? Union Bank, do you get that money? You answer, oh, do you get that money? Okay, Sterling, I don't think Sterling gets the money. Where's Sterling? Where's Sterling? But I have 5 banks that get the money. I wrote to all of them to come here. I've not seen them. I wrote to all of them to come. I've not seen them. But they will cough out that money. It's not their money. The money is meant for women, right? Yes. Yes. And as long as you have the structure, you have the systems, you have everything in place, you will access that fund. Do you agree with me? Are you with me in this fight? Are you sure? All right. Thank you very much. So join the WhatsApp group.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, we can hear you. So you can speak, ma'am. Speak, ma'am. You can address us. We can hear you.
Okay, so to deliver the message?
Yes, you can deliver the message. They are watching you.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So good afternoon to all. My name is Miriam Esther Dasanu, and I am the manager for the Affirmative Finance Action for Women in Africa, which is an initiative of the African Development Bank to help facilitate access to financial services for women entrepreneurs on the continent. Before I go into what the initiative does, let me plant the decor for you. Africa today faces a very interesting challenge in the sense that we have about 10 to 12 million young people that enter basically the workforce or that are in the age to work every year. However, only 3 million jobs are actually created, which means that on a yearly basis, we need to actually create 7 to 9 million jobs per year. This challenge, of course, is compounded by a series of other issues. Of course, COVID is still ongoing. We now have the looming food crisis that comes with the Ukrainian-Russia war or crisis, therefore compounding the challenges for the continent and also impacting our growth. However, the SME sector, the small and medium enterprise sector, is actually a strong, if you will, element to making or changing the tide for us on the continent, in the sense that we have not only the largest number of SMEs, but most importantly, the largest number of women-owned enterprises on the continent. Africa is known to actually have 1 in every 4 women being engaged into some form of entrepreneurship or another. We also know that when women are supported, they have the capacity to grow these businesses and create jobs, which are so critical, again, for the continent, and therefore, which is why I started with that. Now, based on all these facts, the African Development Bank developed the Affirmative Finance Action for Women in Africa, an initiative that aims to support women in accessing the resources that they need in order to unleash their entrepreneurial capacity and therefore, again, create jobs. SMEs are known to create jobs, and women SMEs also have the capacity to create the jobs that are needed. We also know that women face a $42 billion gap on the continent in access to finance, and those for a number of different reasons. The first one is the fact that financial institutions often do not understand the women's market. Similarly, women entrepreneurs have a tendency to self-select themselves out of financing because of their lack of understanding of the financing sector, as well as the lack of historical financial data that enables financial institutions to make a decision to provide credit. We also know often that the enabling environment is unfortunately not conducive enough because of unconsciously biased laws that cause women not to be able to access finance. The collateral issue is one of such laws, right? Very often we say that financial institutions ask and require collaterals or guarantees that women don't have. But what we do not understand is that this is a regulatory requirement of the financial institutions. And by requiring that financial institution ask for property or land titles, automatically we're citing 50% of the population because that's exactly what they don't have. So based on all these challenges, AFAWA therefore uses 3 pillars to deploy its work. The first one is creating financing mechanisms that financial institutions can leverage in order to lend to women, as well as enable them to access the non-financial services that they need. The way we do that is by providing investments into financial institutions. So note the importance here of commercial banks, mesofinance institutions, microfinance institutions to some degree, as well as impact funds or investment funds. Because it is through these institutions that the African Development Bank will put its instruments, these are lines of credit, trade finance, equity, and most recently, a guarantee mechanism that enables to de-risk the women's market. Similarly, we will also make available, still via the same channel, capacity building, or otherwise known as technical assistance, in order to enhance the understanding of financial institutions when it comes to the women's market, the risk women entrepreneurs face and their differences with the rest of the market, and the way they have to take those into account as they create and develop new financial products and services, as well as non-financial services. In the same token, via these same initiatives, we work with women entrepreneurs to enhance their understanding of the financial sector, to help them in developing the historical financial data that they need, as well as enhancing their business managerial skills in order to build more viable businesses that are worth taking the risk on. The third area for us is working in collaboration with governments in order to make sure that the right reforms are in place in order to make our policies, especially financial policies, more inclusive with a very focused impact on women-owned SMEs. So with all of that, thus far, AFAWA is present in over 23 countries, Nigeria included. We're working with over 41 financial institutions throughout the continent and have reached over $800 million worth of approved investment that are to be deployed to women entrepreneurs, those currently being deployed at this time. I really encourage you to work closely with your financial institutions. Work and approach the banks because they are truly the vehicles that have the capacity to provide the long-term financing in order for you to reach long-term growth. With that, I thank you and am open to any questions.
Thank you, Ma. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Very far,
okay.
But I can hear you.
Just for clarity purposes, do we have any financial institution in Nigeria that has these funds from AFDB? Do we have any that have these funds that should disburse to women if women qualify to access it.
If I understand your question, what you're asking me is, are there financial institutions in Nigeria that have already signed on to the AFAWA initiative? Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you have a few. You have FCMB in Nigeria. You have Letshigo, Nigeria, that's there. You have Wema Bank that also has worked with AFDB, pre-AFAWA, but nonetheless is still an investee of the African Development Bank. And of course, conversations are ongoing with other financial institutions.
All right, thank you very much. So, Mariam, I will throw the question open to the women so they would ask you questions. Do we have questions for her? No, let me know. Or we don't have. Let her go since she has given us the information we need. Or do we have questions? All right. Madam, you've asked before, right? Thank you. Do we have questions? All right, madam. The first question for you, ma'am.
Hello, good afternoon, the whole house. My name is Mrs. Sawe Eniola. Yeah, please, how can we have access to this grant? Then what are the procedure?
Question number 2.
Thank you very much. Good day, everyone. Okay, I so much appreciate this session because I believe orientation is very important. People understanding how to access finance and what they need to do to be able to do that. So I commend the organizers. Now my question goes to our last speaker because it's very easy. You know, before the coordinator or the moderator invited her to speak, he said they give this loan at a single digit. So my question is this. If this loan, they are coming from you at a single digit and they walk through the bank to give it to women in business, how come by the time it gets to the women in business, it turns back to almost a commercial loan? Because I have experienced that and it wasn't funny at all. And the funny thing is that they don't give us access to them to be able to really confirm from them that what the banks are telling us is the truth. So it's a big challenge that we do hope we are getting help from these institutions who are ready to help women in business. But at the end of the day, it now looks like a scam. So I would like her to address that. Thank you very much.
All right, I can even help you a bit on your question while we wait for her. And trust me, I'll send that question to her. You see, banks have different facilities for women. The one with AFAWA is a special purpose vehicle. You might be applying for a loan, for a business loan for a woman. It might not be the AFAWA loan. The banks will not even tell you about it. Are you getting me? Oh, no, Union Bank, I'll get to you. Okay, Union Bank said he will answer that question. It's like Union Bank collects the money from AFAWA. Union Bank is here. So he will answer that question. Question number 3. Okay, she's back. She's back. So, ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
So, madam, you have 2 questions, and I'll read them out to you. After that, I'll take the last 2. The first question was, a lady was asking, what does she need to access the fund in the banks? What does she need to do? And the second lady said that in accessing those funds from the bank, the interest rate skyrockets from single digits to double digits. Are you aware that's what the banks do here in Nigeria? Thank you.
Can you repeat the first question? I got the second question on the interest rate, but what was
the first question was, how does she access these finances via the banks? What does she need to do to access them?
Okay, thank you. So in order to access the financing, you need to go to the bank. You need to go to the financial institution. You need to have an account that you have open with them. That account needs to have funds that have, if you will, basically funds or at least show movement on a commercial bank account. Because as a private sector, small and medium-sized enterprise, you should have open a private, if you will, a commercial bank account. This is how you're known to be a company and not an individual. And it is based on the historical data that you have provided that the solvency and the viability of your company is analyzed. Very often, that's one of the major reasons why accessing credit is difficult. So that's the first thing. In order to access the funding, you go to the financial institution. Now, it is important to note that you will not see a FAWA or anything of that sort. What you will see is the fact that, for example, FCMB has a program called She Works, right? So that's their program for women-owned enterprises. The program is supported by the African Development Bank, as well as other multilateral development institutions, by the way, but nonetheless supported by the African Development Bank in order to, enhance access to financial services for women-owned enterprises. So that's the starting point. As you go through and as they see the historical data, this is how they will base their credit decisions first and foremost on. The second thing will be whether basically you have the repayment capacity, right? And a certain number of things will be taken into account, i.e. collateral, and they, with the support that we're giving to financial institutions today, they should be able to facilitate, if you will, the requirement on the collateral levels that they are asking you. If there is capacity building in order to strengthen your financials, then they will work with you on that. Now, in terms of the interest rates, I think it's important to understand, similarly, just as I said it earlier, when it comes to collateral being a requirement, the interest rate is not something that financial institutions alone
Question 3 and 4.
Recording in
comes
progress.
with. And I think that's a very important point for all women entrepreneurs to take note of. My last point is also making sure that you're approaching the right financial institution. Very often, we hear women entrepreneurs telling us, you know what, we've gone to financial institution and the interest rate is very high. But what we find out is that they're actually speaking to a microfinance when they should be speaking to a commercial bank. If you have a certain size as an SME, you no longer should be operating within a microfinance. You should be within commercial bank rate, because the way they will measure the risk, the kind of lending they will give you, and the kinds of terms that will come with it will be completely different than what you will get at microfinance level, where again, here your interest rate is also calculated very differently because you're a different type of entity. Your risk is seen also very differently. So making sure that, one, you have a very good understanding of the kind of business that you are, the kind of financing that you require, and who is the best financial institution to provide it to you is critical. Second, you understand also that you have to create that journey with the financial institution. Without the historical data, it's very difficult for a financial institution to actually make an educated credit decision and therefore take the risk on you. And that often is the challenge that we find with a lot of women entrepreneurs.
Can you hear me, Ma? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Just clarification purposes. What is the interest rate for this finance from AFDB? What digit?
There is no set interest rate, at least not on our end, because it's not set at our level. It's set at the market level. And then, based on the market level, depending on the financial institution and on the risk that the company comes with, the interest rate will be decided. So the interest rate is definitely not set. We have no way of telling a financial institution to use an interest rate versus another. We would be distorting the market if we did that.
Let me rephrase that question. At what interest rates do you give the monies to the financial institutions?
It depends. It depends on the financial institution, because we're an investor in those financial institutions. So the same way the financial institution is actually evaluating the company, is the same way that we're evaluating the companies as well. So depending on the kind of risk and their solvency, the interest rates are decided. So that's it differs from one entity to another.
Okay, Ma, let me rephrase the question again. For the finance that have gone out to the financial institutions in Nigeria, can we have a range for which you have already disbursed to them as the interest rate for you giving
Sorry,
to them?
I can't hear the question properly.
Okay, I said for the finances you've already disbursed the financial institutions in Nigeria, the ones you've already given to them, can we have a range, if not a specific figure, at what range of interest rates did it get to the financial institutions, the ones you've already disbursed?
This is, okay, so again, this is not information that can be provided because as I said, it depends from one institution to another. And even if we dispersed at a certain rate, as they lend on to you, there are a certain number of parameters that they have to take into account to decide what rate they would go for or not. So it really at this point doesn't matter what rate we have disbursed to them on. Right? The point of the matter is we will disburse at a rate that, of course, takes into account the strength of the financial institution. It will take into account the level of non-performing loans that this financial institution has because that's where the risk is, right? And then based on that, the rate at which we lend to them will be provided. But there is no if you will, there is no one rate that we give and then you expect that they will give you at the same rate. It just doesn't work that way.
All right, thank you very much, Ma. So quickly, please, just 2 more questions, then you can leave us.
In providing access to finance to women, I've realized that providing access to markets too is also very important. How are we marrying these two? Thank you.
Did you get that?
Thank you. Yes, so providing access to finance is important, but providing access to markets for women is equally as important. So how do we address that one as well? Correct?
Correct.
All right. So AFAWA specifically focuses on the challenge of access to finance. However, we also are of the opinion that access to markets is equally important. And the way we are, if you will, encouraging the financial institutions that we work with is to also leverage basically their corporate portfolios to provide opportunities for women, small and medium-sized enterprises to access opportunities that they wouldn't access otherwise. But here the opportunities are through networks. Right? So accessing the right networks in order to access the right opportunities is something that we are actively encouraging the financial institutions that we work with. In Kenya, we're seeing that this model actually works and we have financial institutions that, create those opportunities, and policy has also helped tremendously in that sense because, for example, the commercial banks now kind of put pressure at that level for, if you will, financial institutions to kind of play the intermediary and provide these procurement opportunities. In the ad sector, we've had a different approach where, for example, in Côte d'Ivoire, we've literally created what we call the Buy from Women platform. And this is an opportunity for women cooperatives in the agriculture sector, for example, to be able to place their products on the platform. The platform is visited by many, and through that process, if you will, get orders. We also have, if you will, partnerships with the likes of WeConnect and the likes of SheTrade, who are more specifically focused on access to markets. And basically through those partnerships are able to link some of the women entrepreneurs, beneficiaries of the AFAWA program through financial institutions are also linked with those institutions so that they can get opportunities to access markets.
All right, thank you, ma'am. The last question.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm Mary Jane Ilozo. Please, I would like to know if there is any way you monitor the fund? And is there any penalty for banks that don't do their job as expected? If there is none, I would suggest there should be a body that will be monitoring to make sure that this money has its value as expected and reaches to all the people who are really down. Women, many women are down. They really want to get up. So we are really banking on you. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so let me start with the last question and then answer the first one. It is very important to note that the funds that these financial institutions are receiving are an investment. You understand? So it's a loan that we're giving to the financial institutions, and they're using these funds to basically lend to you. So the financial institution, in a way, purchased the money in order to lend it to you. So in terms of penalties, I think, they have to repay the loan at the end of the day. That's the penalty. There is nothing else other than that. Now, the reason why we decided to create the technical assistance to financial institutions is actually twofold. The first, of course, is to understand or to help them understand the women's market. The second is to help them to create products and services. Now, it is within those products and services that we have the capacity to monitor what is going on within the financial institutions. When they sign on to the technical assistance, they have actually a target to meet, right? So there is a very constant, if you will, monitoring and evaluation exercise that goes on. And similarly with the investment. So when they come to request for the investment, there is a carve out for women-owned SMEs, and they present a pipeline. And it is based on that pipeline that we therefore are confident and comfortable enough into giving them the loan, right? Of course, that pipeline is just indicative. It is expected to grow. And ideally, the utilization of the line is also a way by which we monitor. So an example, if we gave, I'm just throwing out a number out there, $15 million worth of a line of credit, we expect that $15 million worth to be utilized for a number of women-owned enterprises. If we were to turn around and find that the $50 million were divided in 4, there would be an issue in this particular case. However, it's a catch-22 because at the end of the day, the financial institution is just expected to repay their loan. That's the first point. Now, in terms of developmental impact, if that developmental impact is not reached, then we would need to understand why, and the possible implications would be that, there would be reconsiderations perhaps in decided to re-lend or not because of the low level of developmental impact. But first and foremost, when there is an investment, the financial institution is expected to repay the loan.
All right, thank you very much.
Exactly. Ideally, the more women entrepreneurs they are, the better. There is a 30% reach that they at a minimum that they have to meet. And ideally, that portfolio has to remain low risk. That's also something. So if we lend and for some reason the risk becomes really high, then there are implications because then we don't disburse either.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ma. Thank you for joining us. We do appreciate. If you have further questions, I'll send it to you directly, and I'll send the response back to them in the WhatsApp group. Thanks for always showing up when we call on you. We really do appreciate. Please, a round of applause for her, please.
Thank you very much.
Have a beautiful Sunday. Thanks for taking out your time on Sunday to be with us.
No worries. Thank you.
My name is Aisha Tijani. I got to know about access to finance summit on Instagram. One thing I learned today from Tega was that you have to start from somewhere. Even if you don't know where you're going to, just start from somewhere. You have to try. That's one thing I'm going to go home with. After it, I learned other means of accessing funds aside from the bank, such as funding, angel investors, and all of that.
gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Ayo from Union Bank.
Okay, thank you very much. Many thanks to the organizers for giving us the opportunity to make this presentation. I lead the SME business at Union Bank. And Union Bank just recently won the award for the best SME bank in Nigeria. Please let us give Union Bank a round of applause. Okay. This is coming with mixed reactions, right? Union Bank recently won the best SME bank in Nigeria. And that is to show that if you are not yet a partaker of what Union Bank is doing, then Union Bank is positioned for you. That's what it means. But before the presentation, let me just quickly, speak to a few things. Number one, a bank like African Development Bank, when they lend money to banks, for banks to lend money to you, that money is coming in dollars. So when they give me $1,000 that I should only lend to you, even if they give it to me at 5%, you know that my cost on that dollar is already more than 5%, because I have to convert that dollar to naira. And we all know what the dollar is doing. So I have to first of all factor the issue of exchange rate movement into that cost. And that can be as high as 2 times that, and it can be more. We know where we started with on the dollar this year, and we know where we are today. And the volatility, the way the thing is moving, as if, people are just going from Ikeja to Ikeja, from here to Ikeja bus stop and back. It's very unstable. So just to let you know, now on top of that, there are certain activities of the central bank that also affect the cost of the money, of every money that you deposit in the bank. There is a portion of it that the bank cannot use for anything. The bank cannot lend to you. The bank cannot invest it. So that already layers another cost on the fund. Do you understand? You don't? Okay. So the point I'm trying to make, basically, is that please do not be in a hurry to say that the banks are lending at rates that are too high. Because the costs that come with every 1 naira that you put in the bank or that somebody gives to the bank, that cost is a lot more than what we think. But there is something I want to say to you. To really know how expensive, to really know if the loan you are getting from a commercial bank is expensive. When a commercial bank says to you, I am lending money to you at 26%, the first thing you should do is to divide it by 2. First. So 26 divided by 2 is what? 13. Add 2 to it, 15. That is your cost. I'm telling you. The reason why we have to use 26% per annum is because CBN says that we should measure the cost of the money on a per annum basis. However, the real cost, because the interest rate is charged on what is left on the loan. So if you took 1,000 naira last month, at the end of 1 month, you're supposed to pay back 100 naira. The interest you pay for month 1 is on 1,000 naira, right? At the end of month 1, you pay back interest and principal. That is 100 naira back to the bank. At the end of month 2, you are paying interest on how much? 900. At the end of month 3, you are paying interest on 800. So when you really look at what your cost is for the year, what you find is that it's not more than 13%. And when the loan that you have taken is supposed to be repaid back to the bank in less than 12 months, you see that your cost has even really further reduced, because if it's a 6-month period, then it is not even the 13% I talked about. It's about half of that. Do you understand? The The truth of the matter is that anywhere in the world, the cost of money is high. Anywhere in the world, the cost of money that you get without collateral is higher. Anywhere in the world. Right? But is it so high that it will kill you? No. Not in all cases. Not in all cases. In some cases, like the lady said at the beginning, that when she was repaying the loan to the loan shark, the loan did not finish. She just kept repaying and the loan did not finish. But that is not the case with the bank. A lot of people have spoken about how we should prepare our businesses for loans. This is so important. Do you know that the money that you want me to lend to you is the money that she gave to me to keep for her and pay interest on top? Should I say that again? The money you want me to lend to you is the money that she gave me, she kept with me, that I should pay interest on top of it, and anytime she comes to the bank, that money must be available. Now, if I give you the money and I do not check, hello, and I do not check that you really can pay back the money, and then NSAS happen, or which other one happened? COVID-19 happened. Can I tell her that the reason I cannot pay you the money you kept with me is because NSAS happened? I can't do that. That is why we have to prepare our businesses to be ready for borrowing from any financial institution. It is so important. We've talked about having bank accounts, operate your bank accounts, and the rest of it. And I want to just emphasize another point, which is that while you are waiting to register your business, it is possible for you to have more than one personal account where you dedicate one of them or two of them specifically for business, and you have another one that is specific for your personal dealings. It is so important that we separate what goes on in the business from what we do personally. First of all, for yourself, because you need to be sure that the money that is running through your account, the money that the business that you're doing, that you are able to track what is going on for you to know if you are making profit or making enough profit, for the business to be able to continue to pay your house rent, your children's school fees, to feed your family, and the rest of it. So it's very important that we separate what happens on the business. One of the things that Union Bank does is that when you come to the bank to request for loan for your business, two things happen. One, you can take loan for your business on your personal account, but there is a maximum account you can take, 250K, 500K, that's how far it can go. But it is also possible for you to have a registered business that you are running transactions on, and then you're able to show a track record of what has been happening on your personal account, but dedicated to the business. And on the basis of that, and what goes on your business account, you can get a loan as high as 20 million without collateral. Without collateral. Okay? So it's very important that we separate what goes on in the business and from what we do personally. Some people were asking the question, how long must I run my business before I have access to loans? At Union Bank, you need to have run your business for at least 3 years. No, hold on. I didn't say you must have run your business with Union Bank for 3 years. That's not what I said. Your business must have existed for at least 3 years. And this is not only a Union Bank story. Your business must have existed for at least 3 years before you can access loans. But if your business has existed for 3 years, and you open an account in Union Bank today, you can access the loan today. Do you understand me? The reason why you need to run your business for at least 3 years before you ask anybody, any bank for a loan is because you as the business owner, you need to test your idea and be sure that that idea works. That idea needs to go through different economic challenges and survive for you to be sure that you should go and ask somebody to give you money, on top of which you will pay interest when you are repaying the money. It is so important that we make sure that the businesses that we are running can stand the test of time before we start looking to borrow money from financial institutions. Oh, of course, I can ask my parents, I can ask my brothers and sisters, my friends, to loan me money and beg them to let the business survive before they start asking for interest. I can do that. But before I start to involve a bank that will not look at my face when I default, then I need to make sure that this business can really run and generate income enough to cover the cost of running the business, to have profit on it, and be able to repay the loan. So I've told you that at Union Bank, you can access up to 20 million without collateral. I've told you that if you have run your business for at least 3 years, even if it's not registered, right? If it's not registered and you register it this year, right, you can access loan on the business account as soon as you open account with Union Bank. Now, to address the needs of women, Union Bank came up with an initiative called the Alpha Community. Alpha spelled as A-L-P-H-E-R. A-L-P-H. If you check online, you will see Union Bank Alpha there. What Union Bank has done, understanding the need of women, is to say that beyond just the business, lifestyle is an important thing for the woman, right? So to address the lifestyle needs, what Union Bank has done is to create that community where we can get mentorship, we can get coaching, we can get discounted healthcare packages, we can get, of course, access to loans, and a host of other things. And you can join the Alpha community. Check alphawoman.com, and you will see all the things that you require to be able to join the Alpha community. Union Bank is very sensitive to women, and that's why we have created this specific product. We have somebody who is responsible for this particular product. She couldn't make it down here today, and that's why, I'm having to do this. But altogether, please understand that your financing needs can be met in the bank, but you've got to prepare your business as a beautiful bride for any bank to support it. Thank you.
My name is Uju Mbanefu, because I needed something like this for a long time. I enjoyed every bit of the experience here. I learned a lot because I have a business that I started up about a year ago, and I needed to know how to go about structuring it, which I learned today. So it has been very impactful to me, you understand? And I've learned that I should be consistent, Consistency pays. That's my take home. So on my little business, my little MSME that I started, I learned that I should be consistent, and it pays off.
Ladies and gentlemen, make welcome Uchechi as she comes up to moderate this very important panel session. Please clap for her, clap for her, clap for her, clap for her.
Good evening, everyone. We are here to discuss with you alternative financial options for women-owned businesses. I think we deserve a clap before we come here. Because normally, whenever we hear about starting a business, our mind will go straight to getting a loan. Join me to welcome the first person on the panel, Mr. Philip Mado Abuchi, the director of Fundbox. As he comes to the stage, let's give him a wonderful hand of applause. Also on my panel, the only lady, the only woman that will be joining us this evening is Madam Comfort Aruosa Odenwigwe. She is the CEO of Deal Room Nigeria. I wish you know where D Room is. This is a platform where people come to pitch their business and they have access to get investors into their business. So I think she deserves another hand of applause. The last but not the least is my brother and my friend. I call him Coach Edward because what is inside the head is too much. He's also an entrepreneur and a business startup coach. These are the people I will be working with in the next 20 minutes to tell you of available options to raise funds for your business. Thank you.
Good evening. So when I said that this panel is the most important panel for this event this evening, I'm sure many people will be wondering why. Because recently, according to a release from the Credit Bureau Association of Nigeria, it is only 4% out of the 40 million people that go for loan in a bank that are able to get loan. Is it not alarming? Out of 40 million is only 4%. So if 58% of the people, of the 4% is women, it means that a lot of ideas, a lot of things that would have changed the world bettered by women couldn't see the light of the day because we cannot access finance. So without wasting our time, I will be starting with Mr. Edward Esiene. He is a startup coach. So I want to know from him if there are other ways organizations can raise funds for their business apart from going for a loan. Mr. Edward?
Okay, thank you, Uche, and good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon to my co-panelists. So the thing is, the principal way of finding a business that most of us know is loan. But our session today is on alternative funding. So let me say it in a way some of us will be able to relate. When loan no dey, if bank no give me loan, or if I no qualify for loan, what are my other options? What are the other things that I can try out? You know, if in the case maybe a Union Bank doesn't want to give me money, or a Keystone Bank, or a Sterling Bank. Again, they said some of it here. Principally, we know there is grants, right? How many of us have collected grants before? That's alternative funding. There is also maybe a bit of equity. There is family and friends. There is angel investments. And the one that I like the most is cooperatives, Ajo. Is an alternative source of funding, right? If you know how to gather people together, everybody put in 1,000 naira or 50,000 naira, 10 people, that's already 500,000 naira for you if you are starting, okay? So as I wrap up on that, finally, the biggest challenge with funding, whether mainstream funding from the bank or alternative source, is a demand and supply issue. We must, as business people, as entrepreneurs, know that there is a supply shortfall. The amount of money we all need in this country to do business is not available. So for instance, as a collective, let's say, I don't know the exact number, but there's a data to that. Let's say we all need 100 billion naira. I need, Comfort need, he needs, everybody here needs money. If we put in our request for 100 billion, the financial institutions only have maybe 20 billion. So the money we dey is not enough to go around for everybody. That is one of the big issues we have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Edward, for that. Mr. Philip, I'm coming to you before I will come back to the lady in the house. Yeah.
All right.
As the CEO of Fundbox, the organization is known for being good in creating awareness about funding for businesses.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would like you to tell the audience what you have for women in your organization in terms of your advisory services, your documentation, and your trainings.
All right. So, good evening, everyone. Funding for everyone is important as long as you're in business. So once funding is out of it, it's there for you to build your brand. Okay? And with that, you can fund your business plan. So if you need to employ the best staffs, if you need to set up an office space, if you need to, establish your factory, you need funds for all of this. However, going to the bank can be a plus if you have the collaterals required. However, for most people, they don't have that, especially if you're just starting out. So what can you do? You have to look for alternative source of funding. And then one of the easiest one is maybe you say grants, maybe you save from family and friends or from your own personal saving. And like my co-panelist said, it can be from cooperative. However, the biggest challenge is that you are not the only one that wants alternative source to funding. Other people also want it, that, oh, how can I also get this fund without having to go and look for collateral, without having to go and look for, be in business for like 3 years before I can access funding or loan. So what we do as an organization is to help, first of all, create awareness about opportunities available for you in terms of funding. Then secondly is about, what is now required for you to get this funding. Of course, there has to be some documentation where we actually come in to support. However, one of the biggest reasons most people don't get funding is not because there's no money, but it's because your business as a startup is termed as a risk for financial institutions, and that is why you can't get funded. All right. So through the information we provide, we'll help guide you and highlight the best part of what you do and match it to the best opportunities that your business can work with in terms of accessing funding. So that's it basically.
Thank you so much. You said something that somehow spiked my brain. You said why startups are not getting opportunities for funding, that their businesses are seen as a risk to financial institutions. Can you elaborate on that a little bit, please?
All right. So what are the chances that a business just started 3 years ago will be here for the next 5 years? Compared to the big boys that have been in the industry for the last 10 years, last 20 years, and they have track record and historical data that financial institutions can work with. So it's a no-brainer for anyone to know that financial institutions would rather go for the big boys who can take maybe billions of naira, hundreds of millions, and then pay back timely than a small business that will request for 5 million, 10 million, and maybe take 2-3 years to pay back, and they're not even sure if they will pay back.
Madam Comfort, happy to finally meet you. I attended one of your training, the one you had with Mike Hoff. Yes, and I was also blessed to be coached by him. So, of course, I know deal room is the real deal.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, that's interesting.
Yeah, so I'm expecting a lot from you today on this panel. So we would like to know that someone who has been in training, someone who gives startups opportunity to come and pitch their businesses and possibly have opportunity of meeting investors, because I know you do that on deal room too. I know you will have a lot to say about alternative ways of financing enterprises. And I would like you to share what your organization do for women, especially in this area.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone, and thank you for the organizers for organizing this. Okay, so the question specifically is what we do in the deal room. We do two things. We prepare and connect businesses, startups, and project owners with investors globally. We prepare you, and then we connect you. Now, my experience, by the way, I'm an investment banker, so been in investment banking for over 10 years before going into consulting. I realized that one of the challenges for funds in Nigeria, so there's money in Nigeria, trust me, there's money in this country, but the challenge is the businesses are not prepared to access them. So as I speak in the deal room, you have over 100, 200 investors, really, who are looking for businesses to support by investing within and outside Nigeria. But the truth is, ask yourself a simple question. Is your business investor ready? Is your business investor ready? Do you know if your business is investor ready? That is what we do in the deal room. Now, specifically for women, we had our first women global peace session for women in April, And we started out to work with foreign partners. We're trying to build a database and a community of women. The idea is to help you get prepared. So what do? We check what you're trying to do. Now, there's a challenge with a lot of women in Nigeria. They don't have the ability to keep going. Your bandwidth for staying on the course is very low. So women, naturally, maybe they're giving birth. It's happened to me, but I'll tell you what I did. Or they got married, or a husband, or the culture is not allowing you move. Actually limits how far you can go, or we can go in this country. But there are other things you could do for yourself. At least get to somebody who can help you look at the idea, look at the business where it is, and say, this is what you want to do, or this is what you should do with that business. So that's what we do basically in the day room. So for every woman here, at the end of the day, just go up there, give us your code, give us your number, let's have your details. There's a community of women we have. We'll have monthly programs where we help you look at your business, look at your sector, and then decide exactly what you should do to your business to make it investable. The other thing I wanted to note is this. We run businesses too small in Nigeria. So every business here is nano. Investors will not fund nano businesses. It's a waste of their time. That is why the Union Bank will say probably you get 200,000 naira when you sign up. You must think big from the day you are starting your business. You must have an idea of where it should be in the next 5 years. You can't be nano, small business for 5 years and expect anybody to take you seriously. So everybody is here. I'm an SME. I need grants. Grants is an investment. If I give you a grant, maybe from Katia Foundation, 100,000, somebody invested that money and is hoping that yes, it's a grant, you don't have to pay it back, but it has to do something in your life and in the life of people that you're working with. So the grants, that's why you don't get it. Your businesses are too small, they are not investor ready. You are also not packaged enough for any investor to take you seriously. So when you come to the deal room, that's what we do. We prepare you, basically prepare you to meet with investors.
Edward, I want you to specifically list the alternative options for finance for MSMEs run by women.
Okay, so like I said before, alternative sources of funding, equity is there. Building relationship with an HNI, a high net worth individual, an investor is also very important. I remember in 2016, when I was doing a Google project, a nationwide Google project in hundreds of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I was trying to raise money for that project. I wrote to my bank, they said they would get back to me. I wrote to the second bank, they said I should bring collateral. Like I had a PO from Google in hundreds of thousands of dollars. And I needed to execute the project, submit my timesheet and my report, and Google will pay after 45 days. But the initial 20 million I needed to execute the project, this is 2016, I didn't have, and no bank could give me. You know, somewhere along the line, I remembered as a finance person, I worked in a venture capital firm. So the conventional route was not working. I had to go back to some of the big mentors I had. See, my friends, I see 3 pivotal approaches to getting money, and it's in my book called Get Funded. Information, documentation, and relationship. Typically, you need only one to access funding. But if you have the 3, you are highly sought after. Information, who has money, where can I get money? Documentation, What would the funders ask me of? The business plan, the pitch deck, the this, and that. Do I have all audit reports, cash flow, statement of accounts, all those documents do I have? Then do I even have an existing relationship with them? Run your account for 6 months is a relationship. I want to see your track record. Or you have a previous relationship. So do not joke with building vital bridges across board as a business person. Is a huge alternative source of finance. To cut a short story shorter, I met a billionaire mentor of mine many years ago. He gave me the millions of naira. I did the Google project, end of story. From Google project, we went on to build a Facebook project, to do an IBM project. It was not a bank fund, it was an alternative source of fund. Relationship, people, mentors, investors, very, very important. But of this, again, summarily, the best alternative for me, and this may be wrong, permit me, that I recommend highly for anybody in this room is grants. Most of you here, I have some of my friends here that have assisted you guys to look at your grant applications. Put in for grant, apply for grant. From the days of you win, I've been working on grant projects to whatever days. Till this year, I've worked on like 3 different grant projects already this year. Put in for grant, apply, you may get it. I have people that I have worked with, they've gotten over $50,000, $100,000. But you need to be in the right community to get access to this information and to apply for grants. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Edward. Mr. Philip, I'm coming back to you. Do you agree with Mr. Edward that the best alternative source of finance as a financial advisor is grants? Or do you have a separate view with this?
All right, thank you, Mr. Edward, for this point. For me, grants is free money. That is the way I like to define it. So you get the free money. What's better than that? So I agree with it. However, even grants is very competitive.
Very competitive.
There is an institution in Nigeria, happen to be beneficiary.
Very difficult to get.
So in my own year, that is still in the foundation program. I applied for my initial business, one of my brand. So that year, there were about 100,000 people that applied, and they did just 1,000 persons. So it's meant 99,000 persons or people came to they weren't able to scale through, all right? So it's very, very competitive. However, how do you know if you'll be part of that 1,000 if you don't apply for it? So the best thing to do is to make sure you have a business that is viable. That's the first thing. Because if your business is not viable, if it's not making money, and if it's not solving a pain point that has an addressable market, sorry, even grants, you can't get it. Not talk of investments, all right? So I agree with him on that point.
Okay. Thank you so much. Madam Comfort, how will this audience get into the deal room? I think it's an important question. Is it not? How will they get into the deal room?
All right. Okay, so I must be straightforward with us here. Getting money is not an easy deal. Coming before investors, this year alone, I think we've worked with over 200 entrepreneurs trying to screen them. But out of 200, maybe 30 will qualify to meet with investors. So why? The investors are asking for different things, but mainly a viable business, like he had mentioned minutes ago. Is your business viable? You know, somebody came in here and said, I think it was Peg. He said, you should stop this fashion thing. I think we should be very original with our business ideas. There are too many people into fashion, into cosmetics, and I get them every day, and I'm like, guys, you can't be funded. There are too many of you. And when there are too many of you, the best way to get funded is to cluster yourselves and then get funding. So what we can do for people that are here today and on that WhatsApp group is to work with Belema to then create a fund of funds for you guys, like a cooperative. And then we'll screen all of you at once, and in our own case, unlike any other funding platform that helps entrepreneurs, we don't let you go. We work with you till whenever you are getting the funds. Whether it's from the banks, we work with banks, we work with finance institutions, we work with HNIs, like Edward has said. We work with your own. There are several people here that has uncles, aunts, friends of friends that can fund you. But the point is, do you have anything to show for the business? Do you have a business plan? Is it up to date? Is it okay? Is it properly written? Now, permit me to say that a lot of the time people write your business plans. I get tons of business plans every day in the deal room, and a lot of them are not well written. With due respect, as simple as how you will pay back the investor, most of the business plans do not have that information. So when you're talking to an investor, he's asking, how do you pay me back my money? Every business, whether it's from the bank, I don't envy the banks at this time, because like Union Bank and Sterling have said, all the monies, including the AFR fund, they are all investments. Somebody somewhere gave them the money and said there's a return on investment. So every money is actually an entrepreneur. Every money you see is working like an entrepreneur. So like you are looking for returns on your investments or looking for profit, that money is a business, is an entrepreneur, is also looking for money. So you need to actually get beyond this level. So like I said, we can only work with Belema to screen you, that's what we call it. We want to check whether you are viable and investable. If you are viable and investable, we'll match you directly with investors that can fund you. By the way, there are different actions you need to take as a small business. You need to join business membership organizations, somebody that can give you credibility. You need to work with your family and friends. The money you are looking for, if you're looking for less than 5 million, you'll be shocked that if you come up with, I just finished reviewing a business plan last night. And before that business plan was done, because there was a draft already, he took it, the entrepreneur had taken it to his friend, who happens to know the MD of a bank. And in the meeting, they just asked, do you have a business plan? And he said yes, but it was half done. He showcased it, and they are talking.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. I don't know if somebody heard what I heard. She said, if you are in Mr. Belema's WhatsApp group, that they are going to come together and help your businesses get access to finance. And we are not clapping. I think that is why we are here, Abi. Money is the matter. So please, before we start taking your questions, my last question to one of the panelists is going to Mr. Edward Esiene. Edward, what are the things that these financial institutions, investors are looking for in grant proposals?
Okay, so before I answer that, let me just speak to something. So I know Comfort, we work together a lot. She's an action lady. She has a strong equity background. And sometimes in my office, whenever I have a transaction, I'll just share with her. Hi, Comfort, I have this something, this client needs this amount of millions, so can we do it? You know? And boom, 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 we'll pull it over. Money approved, money disbursed. You know, so sure.
So we can take our word to the bank.
No, confirm.
Amazing.
We've done some good businesses together. So let's go to grants again. Qualifying for debt like bank, they typically have all the ratio analysis at the back, you know. So as a BDSP, I work with a lot of banks. I work with the SME team. And when you put into BOI loan, any of those loans, first face value, 5 C's of credit, at the back, different analysis. So if you want to qualify for a BOI funding, you must understand those 5 C's of credit at the very minimal and every other thing. I think the demand from BOA also spoke about some of those ratio analysis. It is important if you want to get debt. For equity, the same thing. There is a criteria for equity. For grants particularly, let me give you these 5 pointers and I'll be fast. Innovativeness of the idea. Okay? So I worked on the owing project. This year, I worked on AgroArc, TNY, EFINA, Enactus, our Youth Challenge. As a judge, as a reviewer, with different marking scheme. So when I tell you that if I do your grant for you, not that you will get it, we don't promise that. The chances that you will get it is a bit high. Because of the 100,000 that is applying, like he said, we're only giving to 1,000. Your 1,000 has to be clean, it has to be sharp, it has to be punchy, it has to be persuasive. If I see a grant application that we win, I will know.
Okay, you've told us about innovativeness.
Innovativeness of the solution.
Okay.
Number 2, sustainability and team. Number 3, market size and data. Number 4, problem statements. Number 5, business model. Then lastly, for some grants, impact and SDG. Which of these SDG problems are you solving? Number 1, zero hunger, or health, or this or this. So it's normally 5 or 6. There's even one now, if you're around climate change. Okay, how are you contributing to circularity? Is your business circular? Are you running a sustainable, what they call sustainable fashion? To use waste from other fashion designers to produce your own. So there is now another arrangement for grants around circularity and environmental sustainability, which touches around climate change and all of those things. Once your business plan. See, let me tell you these things. In these grants people, there are people that we will now call grantpreneurs. You know who a grantpreneur is? An entrepreneur that is no longer running his or her business, but has mastered the art of winning grants, and they go from competition to competition, winning all the grants. Amen. So you see the person here, he chopped $10,000. You see him here, $50,000. You see him there, $100,000. He or she is no longer running the business, but they've mastered grant winning, and they are now collecting it for sure.
Thank you so much. We are opening the floor for the audience.
Let me just interject. So I would add a panelist to their panelists, and when he's done, then they would all take questions. Now we have in the hall, I was keeping the best for last time, so people are going. The Development Bank of Nigeria is in this hall. Yeah, and they have packages for women, very specific. Those that left early, we tried our best with our resources to organize it. Some people are rushing home. When they get home, they will still sit down and be looking for money. And the money is here. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help make welcome from the Development Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Eze, as he joins the panel session. Very important. Uchechi will moderate still. Mr. Eze, the ground is so when he's done with his presentation, then they can now take a general question session. Thank you.
Okay, sir, tell us what you do in your organization.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I've listened to all the presentations. I've heard the expectations from the women-owned businesses. But I want to say something here, and it's with all humility and due respect. You see, when you run a business, I have a lot of respect for you because you're not waiting for handouts. You're actually adding to growing the economy. But the truth here today, they say the truth is bitter. Many of you are not ready for money. I will say it and I will explain what I mean to you. Someone asked a question and said, do you know how the bank gets money to give you? A few of you are doing businesses and you're saving for your children's school fees. That is the money that is lent to another person. For that money to be lent to that other person, the bank has to be sure that that money will come back. Now, we are doing what I call a pity party. You think you walk into a bank, I have an idea, and this is my idea, is novel, please fund me and give me money. It will never happen. Never. Women are not disadvantaged. Don't ever put yourself in the shoes of being disadvantaged. The head of World Trade Organization today is a woman. The head of European Investment Bank is a woman. You have presidents in this world, presidents of powerful countries that are women. Why are you acting as if you're so disadvantaged? When you give birth to your children, you teach them how they will survive. And you teach them a stepwise basis for survival. Running a business is like grooming a child. And at the point you refuse to do what you're supposed to do, then you're bound for failure. That is the truth. I will want to advise. You see, that word luck does not actually exist. What you have is preparation meeting opportunity. That is what people term luck. If you do not plan to succeed, then that means you're planning to fail. Nobody in the nano business segment today can afford to have all it takes to access a loan from a bank. But there's what they call group dynamism, which has been spoken about here, which you can leverage. All the people that are doing fashion can actually come together as a cluster, and that gives you a stronger bargaining power. All the people that need to do business can actually talk to people that understand what it's all about so that you can develop a business plan. Madam made a comment here. She said, I reviewed business, that she reviews business plans, and as simple as how will the money come back is never explained. I've done all my years in banking. I lectured before I did banking. And one of the MDs of a forward SME-facing bank today is a woman. She was my boss. And I remember what she always said whenever I had a credit. She said, Eze, as long as you're able to tell me how my money will come back, you will get approval. And that was the first question I always ask my customers, how will this money be paid? Now, there are different ways in which the money can be paid. If I can demonstrate even as little as 2 ways in which that money will be repaid, I always got approval for those loans. Don't wait to hear what people will say in line of what your disadvantage is. That's not going to help you. You're not going to get the money. That was why I used the word pity party, I'm sorry to say, but it's not in that sense. But it's to bring you back to reality, to understand that you're here for serious business, and what you're here to do is to get what will help you. Development Bank of Nigeria was set up by the World Bank and 5 other entities: African Development Bank, the World Bank, European Investment Bank, KfW of Germany, and AFD of France. Why was this set up? Nigeria has a population of 200 million. Nigeria's population is an advantage that is not being tapped in the positive way. And as such, it's a great concern for even the Western world that the failure of Nigeria will lead to crisis for them in their own countries. After the study, they came up and said, we'll set up a development bank in Nigeria with 3-pronged approach, with 3 mandates. 1 is on lending. 2 is credit guarantee, a partial credit guarantee structure. And 3 is technical assistance.
Okay, sir. I want to redirect you a little bit. Thank you for the information you're giving us, but we will be more concerned with what packages do the development bank have for women, especially women in Nigeria?
Okay,
because
thank you.
Because of our time, yes,
yeah,
sir.
Because of our time, I'll go straight and tell you that Development Bank does what we call wholesale lending. Okay. We don't deal with individuals. So, like the lady from AFDB spoke about monies given to banks. Okay. Development Bank deals with all the commercial banks in Nigeria, and those commercial banks will give them a KPI. A certain percentage of your lending must go to women. So as at today, I will tell you that as at today, Development Bank lending to women-owned businesses is to the tune of 140 billion to 177,774 businesses run by women. And this is 67% of DBN lending portfolio. And, sorry ma, they exist. They exist. Those businesses exist, which is why you're here, which is why you belong to this platform, to help direct you on how to structure yourselves to access money. That is the major essence. All the banks in Nigeria today get money from Development Bank at a reduced interest rate that allows them to also do a markup, but is still lower than commercial rate.
Okay. I am sure the audience will have a lot of questions for you, and we have to hear them out at this stage. So we don't know how many people that have a question for any of the people on the panel.
My name is Ore Fayola. I'm co-founder of a tech signal digital marketing agency and an agro processing called Energio. So I want to ask Madam Arosa Osemwingi, Ma, how do we join you? How can I join you? And Mr. Edward Esene, how do I become a part of a community?
Thank you very much. My question goes to the DBN person. Thank you for the information. Okay, so what I want to find out is, if you deal wholesale with the bank and the bank deals with the customers directly, is there a way you regulate that the loan you're giving to them, since it's supposed to be also to help women in business, don't go beyond or don't eventually turn again to a commercial loan? Is there a way you regulate, since you don't also allow the people who access the loan to have direct contact with you? It's only what the bank tells you that you go home with. Thank you.
Like I said, part of the reasons that the funders for DBN, part of the directive is that women and youth, that's the girl child, the women and the youth are the focus. So it's part of our focus. We monitor that on a monthly basis on every disbursement. So most of the banks that deal with DBN actually have product programs directed at women. On the interest rate, yes, we also monitor. There's an agreement on what the margin and what the spread should be. Thirdly, we also know that part of our mandate includes, but not limited to, issuing guarantees which can cover for shortfall in your collateral, which the banks that participate in this program also have those capacities.
Surprisingly, that community is a premium community. It's a paid to join. As I did last year, I have some friends that are part of the community. But since COVID, we've not been charging anybody to join. It's free to join. I don't know when I will change my mind to get back to paid. But since 2020, it has been free to join. Then again, it used to be a one-on-one session, But because that was becoming overwhelming, it was not wise. So we stopped doing one-on-one session. What we do now is to aggregate all the grant opportunities. We publish it in the group. And once we have a critical mass of individuals that want to apply, that need to apply. Man, this year, I have people who don't chop grant, or different grants. I cannot mention them.
Give a testimony.
Hold on. So, hold on. Belema will tell you how to join. What we do now is to now do the aggregate. We do a grant session. We did an AWE session this year for American women in AWE now. How many of you applied? So group. Belema will tell you.
So that's why you have to register outside with your WhatsApp number. If you put a number outside that is on your small phone, you will not be able to join the WhatsApp group. Please, all of you, register outside with your WhatsApp number. Let me give you a testimonial from what he said. From that accumulation, I saw a grant application. I gave it to my programs officer to apply, right? It's a Google grant, but it was not for money. It's just to publicize us on the Google platform.
Yes. So some grants, sorry, but let me just chip in. Some grants are
off this light, Edward.
Some are training, some are access to markets, some are capacity building or mentorship. Again, last caveat for me, if it's a grant that I'm a consultant on, I'm a marker, a reviewer, an assessor, I won't be able to work with you because that will be conflict of interest. I already have the marking scheme. So if I'm a marker and assessor on a grant, I cannot open my mouth, and tell you, Sheba, ma Sheba.
Thank you, Edward.
I'm
going somewhere. After we applied, that was about a month ago. they said, okay, we can attend, we forgot about it. And I got a call. Today is Sunday. I got a call on Tuesday. Google was giving out monies, but they were giving out monies to only those that were on a certain platform, a Canadian-based platform. And they searched for all my company brands. They saw Engage on it. How did Engage get on that platform? Because of that other application we applied for that said will give us exposure. And if you were not on that platform, that Canadian platform, you cannot access, and you will never know about that Canadian platform. I went to the platform. There's no way you can register on that platform to receive a grant. There's no way, right? It was automated from Google. So because of that opportunity, now we're able, I had to go back to the platform. I didn't even know. I had to go back to the platform, update my profile, and now I'm waiting for Google's money. So you see, grant is very important. And it's important you are in our community, right? You were supposed to answer a question. She said, how we should get into your community. I think it's just to go upstairs.
Okay,
it's not difficult.
Yeah, just go upstairs.
Go upstairs,
they'll tell you what the processes are. It's not free, but it's not too expensive. We screen you. But for women that can't afford it, we'll work with Belema to come up with something.
DBN, I know you have some more to say. So I want to give you were talking, they said they've given 140 billion to women businesses. Please, are you part of it? Wahala. So that's why I have him, right? I would ensure that women from this group access those DBN funds. Are you getting me? That's why we are together. But like he has said, the mentality has to change. Nobody will throw money at you. You must run a structured business. You must have a bank account. You must be registered. If you don't have those things, in my group, I will tell you I can't help you. Right? The banks must deal with serious. You must want to collect the loan to pay back. Don't think his government money is free. It's wrong. If you collect and you don't pay back, they can't give to the next person. Right? So these are the things. The mentality must change. DBN, 3 minutes, because I know I'm coming back to DBN next year. So let me give you a lot of time. So you give a good report for me.
My dear ladies, I want you to know that the world today is rigged to favor women. Every project, every funding has a female and a girl child component. You must explore what has been given to you, and that exploration must come from the inner recesses of your heart to plan businesses along the lines that you'll be mentored. And if that happens, like I said earlier on, show me the way that the money will come back. You will have your money, you will have your access. DBN, for next year, I know that the budget that we're looking at is like double of what we did. That's what we're looking at for next year. Now, one thing you need to understand is, as you're making your plans, someone who spoke earlier, I think the politician, talked about macroeconomics. There are some variables you don't have control over. When you're making your plans, make sure you recognize that these variables exist. And in recognizing that they exist, always include how you intend to surmount those variables. You're either scaling up or you're looking for alternatives. Those are the things that will make your plans and your business plans very successful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for them, please.